Walk one, Mr. Maps.
Yo, what it do, what it is.
What it is, big man? Are you alive and kicking?
Yeah, no, I'm good. We're recording this late. So I guess happy Friday.
Actually, recording on a Friday. This is it's different feel. Usually, I listen to the pod on the Friday. But yeah, what a week, eh? Yo. Yeah, this week has had hands. It's had serious hands.
Yeah, no, it's been a bit of a hectic one, and I'm sure the listeners know we didn't get too many complaints. Over the last week there was no episode, so people understand. People have to jackal. It's not easy. It's not easy. But actually, last week I blame you because we could have recorded, but you decided to do laundry instead. So, I think that one we can put it on you.
Also, I was working.
Sure.
Also, I was working.
I was with you the whole day,
actually
fam.
crafting.
What work were you doing?
I have. Tabo, do you not see me reviewing agreements
Nope.
there by your Airbnb? I was working. I was in serious craft.
Said I was gazing at the ocean. He was like, he looked at me like, "Hey, chief,
big man thing.
Let's throw some meat on the grill or something." What are you saying, bro? Like I was like, This is how these men are moving in Cape Town.
Tabo, how many hours was I there? And how many of those hours did I spend with the laptop literally open doing the thing? It was a lot.
We know the drill. Been through lockdowns, you leave your laptop open, change the settings so that it doesn't go to sleep, so that you can hear your teams. We know these things, so that you can't fool us.
Yeah. Ngaze ngahlukumezeka. But anyways. And then after that, I had arguably the worst case of food poisoning I've ever had in my life. Like that was next level, dog.
Where's cat?
So I think
where's
Siwa?
where's
cut. Avis color, good loudspeaker, bro. Good loudspeaker. Do you know what? For a second, I actually thought I had cholera, just because I think government announced that there's a cholera outbreak or whatever.
Oh wow!
But I think what do we do? Sunday we had those burgers by the Turkish place. Initially, I was like, time.
Those
I don't
burgers
experiment,
slapped, bro. Don't be out here hating on our Turkish restaurant.
I'm not hating, but I'm just saying, my stomach is not a fan of experimenting, right? So, for example, I love Indian food, but I can't eat Indian food. I cannot eat the dumplings from KFC.
Weak.
It's just I'll catch that. But I put it down to growing up in Zimbabwe. We grew up in an environment, and I always say this, Tabo, and you always back up the Zim people them.
Yeah.
I say we grew up in an environment that didn't experiment with food and flavor and spices. A lot of Zim food is bland. Then when I went out into the world and I was trying all these things, my stomach is just like, my guy.
So the reason I always challenge you on that is because I literally grew up, might as well have grown up in the same house. We were like 2 kilometers away from each other. So Awulaza, we didn't experiment with flavors. We all grew up with Robertsons in our cupboards, guys. It was there. Let's not lie. Like, I feel like it's a very small minority of families that only had Isaudo Enli. There was either something.
No, but I think
there was like
that's
paprika, there was curry. There was something they put.
Okay, can I give you an example, right? So my partner grew up in South Africa, and she has this thing where didn't we actually speak about this on Saturday? So she has this thing where when she makes pap, right, she'll put butter or cheese or
So that's losing the plot.
How is it losing the plot?
Why
can I tell you? It actually tastes nicer
in the non-strala part of the meal.
No,
Yeah.
this chwala itself can have flavor, and I think that's the point I'm trying to get across. Uguti, there's different things we can try. I'm not saying we must start adding Viennas and polony to the pap. No. Akuna onion
Me, if I
tabo.
vuva my
All I'm
stroller and
saying
there's butter
is
and onion in there, I'm throwing hands. That's just all I'm saying.
there's no onion. Where's the onion coming from? I'm just
What
saying
did you say? Onion
sometimes
or
she
cheese?
adds butter. I say cheese.
Baguette.
Cheese. Like you just chuck a little bit of some cheese in there, then you wonder the atom, and then put a bit of salt, and then I don't know, she does it, and it's probably the best pop I've ever tasted.
Imagine
Don't tell my
cheese flavored
parents I said that.
stwala. So singanesidla amasimba
It's not
chips.
cheese flavored.
Kumamalays. Aye. No, guys, I'm
To be
sorry.
honest, it has no, it's a bit more, it's just got a bit of cream and taste to it, right? Which is nicer, right? And what I'm saying is I'll even say with like spinach, even like back home it was just it cream spinach ngaifunda much later on in life. Maybe you guys in your
Yeah,
household
we had it.
you
I
did
learned it from my
extra
mom.
things.
She
But
made
I
it once
can
and like in grade, I think I was like grade 5, 6, somewhere there, and I'll never go back.
Twaga one. That was an
No,
exception.
no, 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 no. So as in like that was the first time that she made it,
Yeah.
right? Or the first time I remember
Okay.
having it. So because I was not
Yeah.
a fan of spinach before,
Okay.
it was up there with
Yeah.
pita for me, which for me spinach and
Yeah.
pita were ghetto in my eyes. So I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And she made
Pita was
creamy
always
spinach,
nice.
and I was like, wow, like completely changed my life. I became a spinach fan from there onwards. But yes. Anyway,
Okay, but what I will say is I think every household had our Robertsons
yes,
and the Raja and whatever.
yeah.
But I still think we were conservative in the way we use those things. It wasn't all the time, and I also don't think it was to the extent where we added like proper flavor to food. That being said, so that's what I'm saying, Guti. I think then later on in life I got into the world and then I'm experimenting with different foods and then my body just rejects it, right? So that happens with Indian food. I can't eat Indian food, like super spicy food. I'm always under duress. But then there's a part to it where probably I won't lay blame to the Thai food because I mean I'm like you know what, that was good. It was probably fine. But when I thought about it a bit more later on during the week, I realized that I also had some takeaways after that, right? So, in this era of load shedding, there is an argument to be made, Uguti. Sometimes maybe the food we're now buying from the stores in South Africa isn't fresh. I'm starting to get like if I put myself in the position of a Steers owner, right? I run a franchise, and I buy patties in bulk,
Yeah.
and I keep them in the fridge, and then load shedding hits and my fridge is off for I don't know how many hours.
Nah, but if it's 2 hours, that's not bad. I don't think 2 hours is really
But
bad.
once we get to stage 6, it's 2 hours, and then another 2 hours, and then another 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay, so
It's
on
not
rotation,
ideal.
about tens.
Yeah, and it's probably not ideal. And then maybe some of it you make the food and then you put it back into the fridge and then you throw it back onto the grill when a customer comes and says they want to order quick. Maybe it's a drive-through, right? I suspect Uguti in that maybe that's where I don't know, there could be a potential for a rise in food poisoning case. Because the Department of Health said that there is a bit of a cholera outbreak. Fortunately, I don't think I have cholera. I think it was
In
just
Cape Town or in
a case of
general
food
in the
poisoning.
country?
In South Africa. In South Africa.
Oh,
So
wow.
just Google cholera outbreak South Africa. It's the craziest thing out
Venice
there.
and Venice is Zimbabwe. Oxala difference.
But that's what happens when a country goes through weird economic issues like this, right? Where like the very important services aren't functioning properly. Because obviously, I think water sanitation needs electricity to work, right? So now you kind of have to stop drinking tap water and then order, still water from wherever. Food is compromised. Restaurants are running on backup generators. Those that don't have generators are just winging it at this point. Um, but anyways, I've just decided that I'm good with takeaways
No more.
for the foreseeable future. For the foreseeable.
so Maropega.
Well, fortunately, my nephew's nanny will make food before she leaves, so
Okay.
that's always a plus to have. During the day, I sort myself out, so I'll make myself sandwiches or whatever, and then when my partner's around, she'll also make home cooked meals, which is cool.
Wow, Senna. So
So I'm gonna
in
try
your
stay off
arsenal,
takeaways.
it's just sandwiches, pit.
No, it's not just sandwiches. Like I can make other things, dog. But during the day when I would ordinarily make myself food, it's mostly sandwiches and burgers and I don't know,
So what's your go-to meal?
quick meals.
What's your I'm in the house. I need to chef it up. I want a hearty meal. What's your go-to?
Probably a pasta if I'm not grilling meat. I'm trying not to grill as often as I do. But yeah, probably a pasta.
Okay.
Maybe a chicken a la king or bolognese or whatever. It that's always a good go to. It's easy.
Okay. All right. No, pasta is easy. I like it. Okay, but anyway, I just realized, guys, welcome back. If you haven't realized, it's Six
Oh
Foot
snap!
Boys, your favorite hour with your favorite cheese boys. My name is Tao.
My name is Senna.
And yeah, we back. Not for too long though, but we do have quite a lot of things to run through. Oh yes, actually, so we need to start with the podcast itself. Actually, so it might not seem like it, but the podcast has kept growing. Even with the limited episodes, you guys are still sharing the ting. You're still liking the ting. You're retweeting the tings, and people are coming on board. So we hit a milestone, I think last week or so, maybe the week before. We are officially at over 70,000 streams. So big up to the podcast. It's absolutely fantastic. I think last week we had 300 new listeners, 388 new listeners, and that's really really cool to see. And yeah, no, shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all for sharing the thing. It's really cool to see what we're doing is really slapping out here. And you guys know, the ones who've been with us for a while, that when we celebrate these milestones, I tend to look into the numbers to see, okay, what's changed and what stayed the same, right, in terms of the growth. So we'll do a little
Yeah.
bit of some analysis here. I think geographically, South African residents have always been the top consumers of the pod, but it's officially tied with the UK. So I think UK is where we've seen the most growth for the
Whoa.
pod. So 21% of the market share each goes to the UK, and closely followed by Zim and the United States. So that's where our base is: South Africa, UK, Zim, and the USA. I like it, Guti. Well, can't say anymore. But at least in the UK and the US, Zim and South Africa, I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, definitely another grower is Australia and Canada and Germany. We're making inroads into those markets. Again, we used to start with virtually no listenership there, but we're looking at 7 to 10% in those countries, and then obviously everything is spread around. At this point, I just try to look for the most random country, and the most random country that I see here is Gambia. The Gambia. It's such a small country. That's mad.
Gambia.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a really really small country right next to Senegal, in the west of Africa. So it's that's very interesting to see. And then let me see what other random one we see here. Remember the Isle of Man?
Yes, I remember the Isle of Man. I remember the Isle of Man.
We got Puerto Rico, Chile, Bolivia. Hey, bruh, Bolivia. Sorry, not Bolivia. So we're popping, bro. And Guatemala. We are popping in South America. Colombia. Who's in South America listening to us, bro? Like, that's mad. That's mad. And then yeah, I think we've got Vietnam as well. So those are the most random countries I'm seeing that we've had listens from. And that's really really cool to see in terms of the pod. And then obviously we've got our Ghanas, our Nigerias, which are predictable. And yeah, it's really really cool. In terms of the breakdown, obviously Spotify listeners have grown quite a lot. Apple used to
Yeah.
be the bulk of our podcast listenership, but it's Apple still has about 51%, Spotify at 41%, and then the rest are split between Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and the rest. And oh yes, I like to be a little bit vain in this in terms of our listeners. Feel like we've got bougie listeners. 72%,
Okay.
72.2% listen on their iPhones. That's good. I like that market share. I like
Oh,
that market
hectic.
share. So we'll have and then
Yeah.
18% are on their Androids, and then 4% are on unknown devices. Ama-G-Tide. Siyabonga though.
My cheated.
Nama-G-Tide abo. Although this is a very concerning statistic. Actually, before I come to the concerning one, age bracket. We do have 60 plus, 1%, and 45 to 59 age bracket. We've got 1% there. Our obviously leading market or leading demographic is 28 to 34 years old at 41%, followed by, which is surprising, you'd think it's the slightly younger guys at 23 to 27, but it's actually the slightly older guys at 35 to 44 years old. So we've got some semi-low niggas who are listening to the podcast in their droves.
It
So
was some
that's
low.
I said semi-low. Like you're not low, you're not quite there, but you're not young either. So it's just that weird phase between
In between.
Yeah, you're probably a parent, and maybe even getting close to being a grandparent at that point. And then obviously followed by 23 to 27 years old at 20%. And the skirskers are there with 9% at 18 to 22. I'm glad that we don't really vibe that much with I'm a 2K, so that's great. That's great to know. And still 0% at 0 to 17 years old. Absolutely fantastic. Really, that's not the target audience, so that makes me happy. Now, the controversial one, the gender.
That's not the target audience.
What was the last percentage you remember me telling you about our female listenership?
So I think we wrestled it to 55, and the guys had come back, and the guys were coming close to the 50 mark, and
Yeah,
then as more women just got involved and took it back to above 60.
yeah, yeah.
So where we at now, Mr. Maps?
We're at 65.4% female listenership.
No, so it's still going up.
Yeah, so we got the guys involved for a little bit, and then it just I don't know where we were losing the men in the podcast. I don't know, guys. Feel free to slide into the
I don't think
DMs.
we're losing. You know what I think would be a very interesting metric to track from the new listeners. I think you mentioned the 300 new listeners or something. Just check under the new listeners how many of that number is male. You'll find that the issue is very few guys actually reshare the pod. So guys will
So
probably just
niggas is
sit one, then they'll
haters. That's what
listen.
you're saying. Niggas is haters.
I'm not saying niggas is
Niggas
haters,
is haters.
but I
That's what
think
you're
more
saying.
women. I'm not saying niggas is haters. But I'm just saying that I think women are more inclined to, hey, Chomi, listen to this.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. This is a take that I saw on 6 Foot Ways. Guys will probably listen, laugh, and then keep it moving.
Yeah. 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 Fair enough. But niggas, you need to do better. We need kind of 32% male listenership is wild. Y'all, please. This is very disappointing. And I please let's have a bit of seriousness there. Then 2.2% non-specified, non-binary, 0.3 because we are a wholesome podcast. Let me see. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of the shit. Okay, so I was looking at
Wagwan.
no, I had I'm trying to see what changes if the numbers don't really change. So I had it set to the last 30 days, and the numbers don't really change.
Okay.
They don't really change that much. So it's slight changes. So in terms of our demographic, initially I had said our stronghold was 23 to 27 years old. But if we look at the all-time metrics, it's pretty close. So it's still that demographic at the top, but just 4% behind is the 28 to 34 demographic. Holy shit, no.
Yeah, my aunties.
It's yeah, that's oh my god, that's wild. Anyway, so yeah, so essentially we're almost evenly spread with individuals who are 23 to 44 years old. those are the people who are mostly listening to the pod. And
Yeah, but I
then
think that's probably who the pod relates to the most, right? I guess, right?
yeah,
I
that's true.
mean,
That's true.
that's the age gap within which we fall. So
And then we have more people who are over 60 than people who are 45 to 59. That just blows my mind.
over 60.
So people's parents or our parents are not listening to this, but our grandparents are listening to the pod, which is wild. That makes me laugh. That makes me shout out to Coco and Kulu supporting the boys. Appreciate that. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. And then I think I'm trying to see here if there's anything else interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I think our most successful episode, in terms of me and you, is episode 97, Sneaky Link Checkout Time. That is our most streamed episode. So
What did we talk about in episode 97?
sneaky links,
Do you
bro.
remember?
Sneaky links.
No, but what else?
I don't know.
Besides the sneaky.
I don't know. The people just wanted to know about sneaky links. Let me click on it. See what was in the description. Nope, it's not letting me click on the thing to see. So you can scroll and check and see. Let me know what we talked about. It would be interesting to
Let me see. Spotify. All episodes 97. That's not too long ago, actually.
Yeah, that was that was a while ago, bro. That was August last year.
Befriending your girls.
Andrew Tate.
What time should a hand leave your place? Andrew Tate. Oh, Ikansi versus Ukansi. That was funny.
Oh man.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was a good one. It was a good one.
That was a good one.
Okay, all right. So yeah, that's about it. But anyway, guys, all this to say, thank you so much for listening to the pod. Y'all are awesome. Y'all rock. Keep rocking with us, and we'll try and put out content whenever we can. And I'm also gonna hopefully we'll put out a review. Well, I will. I'll hit up Undava because I don't think you haven't seen Ant-Man, right?
I have not seen Ant-Man, no.
Okay. So we're gonna probably work on a review if we can get some time. I was like, Ndaba, let's do it today. He was like, no, bro. The thing is, I'm going skiing for the weekend, and I was like, yo, okay, all right.
That is the whitest thing I've ever heard of.
Bad and bougie. I never
right
ski, bro.
Which black man do you know that says I'm going skiing?
hey, right. Clearly, I want to buy the money, and so I'm just like, hey, man, enjoy your life. Live your best life. If you want to go skiing, go skiing. So hopefully when that was back, we can talk about Ant-Man. It was I have some thoughts on it. Overall, I did like the movie quite a lot. But yeah, it's an interesting conversation to have. But Mr. Moy, I need to see now what we can move into.
Yeah, boy.
Oh yeah, let's start with some relevant shit. So if anyone is unaware, which I think most of you are unaware, tomorrow will begin the democratic elections for Nigeria, right? One of Africa's biggest economies and my second home. Nigeria pays my bills, guys. So basically, obviously, I've been keeping watch on what's going on there, and I'm trying to get a sense of how people are feeling, and I've learned some very, very interesting things that I figured I should share with you and our listeners by default, right? So there's three main presidential candidates from what I see, right? There is, you might have heard of some of these guys. There is Bola Tinubu, and he is a former governor of the state of Lagos. He's been touted, according to my colleagues. He's been, and again, I apologize if I don't get all of this information right. It's mostly correct, but again, I was learning. I'm trying to absorb as much as I can in a short space of time. But yeah, he's touted as the kingmaker. So typically, people that partnered with this guy in the past were the ones who got like the inside track onto to Lokuzin, to presidency, because again, he's sort of seen as like the godfather of a lot of politics in Nigeria, because he's been in the game since 1977, right? So he's old, right? He's 70 years old, People think Uti that's not even true. Uti is older than that. Uti understates his age, of which, again, if you're a football fan and you know how Nigerian kind of just be moving sometimes. So it's like, hey, bruh, you never know. But like, again, according to the article, he's 70 years old. He's been the one who puts people in power, like Tramban. You remember Scandal? Is it Olivia's dad? Papa Pope.
Eli.
Eli.
Yeah, Eli Pope.
Yes, exactly. So he was the Eli B613 type of dude. Puts the men. He's
okay.
the
Who
man
moves in
behind
the
curtain.
shadows.
Exactly. He's like, hey, me, I'm good just making money. I'm not really interested in this presidential thing. But this time he was like, nah, me, I'm within, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. And then you have Atiku Abubakar. And then this one has been trying to be president for a while. He's contested, I think, like 3, maybe even 4 different elections. He's 76 years old, but again, he's been losing. But again, also, he's hopefully, he's trying. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of I'd say, the youth aren't a fan of him because they, again, to quote a colleague, the colleague said, Atiku is just here to steal. That's what he said. So that's the word on the street, according to certain citizens of the country, is, hey, my man is here to steal, and I'll expand on that in just a moment. And then the last candidate is Peter Obi, and he's the youngest of these presidential running mates. He's only 61 years old, which, again, in my opinion, is old. But you know what? By African standards, that's thoroughbred, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. It is what it is. But he's the one.
It is by African standards young, right?
Yeah, by African standards, it's young. But he's the one that, in terms of for his side, he's the one that is coming in with the bright ideas in terms of how to turn Nigeria around. Turn youth unemployment around, and like a lot of the youth are what's this thing called? Are really, really behind Obi, right? So most of the youth, they're voting for this guy because he's saying he's a desktop guy. Then the other 2 guys are relying on, obviously, their political clout for Tinubu, number 1. And then Atiku, again, same thing, because he's been in the game for years and years and years. So he's also a very, very, very wealthy individual himself. So those other guys are more of the old school politics, right? Sort of that Zanu energy.
Like a Ramaphosa vibe.
Yeah, like one of those that's just, dudes that have just been in the game for a while. And then Peter Obi, and I'm hoping, and from what I'm hearing, I'd hope that Peter wins, but it's very unlikely because, again, Nigeria, I think, is a very interesting case study. It's very divided. Generally speaking, you have people from the north and people from the south. Generally speaking, on general lines. And
sounds familiar.
Yeah, and then the north is where is I think population-wise, there's more people in the north. So you have to win more of the north than you do.
That sounds familiar as well.
But this is the unfamiliar part. So generally speaking, amongst the running politicians, there's sort of an unspoken rule. Okay, so this president, so the current Buhari, the current president, I believe, is from the north. So from the north typically is where most of the Muslim population of Nigeria is, and the south is typically where more of the Christian population of Nigeria is. So they've kind of been taking turns. Okay, fine, someone from the north won this time. This election, we're really going to push for someone from the south, north, south. Just kind of been an unspoken rule, right? But in this election,
that's a cool rule.
Because of where some of these individuals are from, they haven't. They're not. That's not really going to happen because I think there's only one candidate who's really from the south, if I understood it correctly. So there's a very low likelihood that it's going back to the south, right? It's a higher likelihood that it's going to stay in the north. It's because of the kingmaker wasn't expected to put his name in the ring, but he's put his name in the ring. But now it kind of helps this Peter guy, the young guy, in the sense that the other 2 guys have strongholds in the north, and it's thought that they're going to split
the vote
in the north. So even though Peter's not as strong in the north, he's very strong in the south. So he might not need as much of the north as is normally needed to win an election, because the other 2 guys are going to split the north. right? And again, so Nigeria is divided by that north-south and also the religious lines as well, right? So not too much in terms of the cultural, I don't think, but it's more so definitely there's that religious line. Hey, Muslims might just be like, hey, bro, that's a Muslim brother. I'm voting for a Muslim brother. Like, I don't really need too much in that. So, again, in terms of the whole picture of this, so that's the current picture of the election. This is the fascinating part now, right? This is now where we get into the real African shit of African elections. So a big part of African elections is the mischievous things people with money do in election season, right? So this is the fun part. So the current president Buhari, so they have a system in Nigeria where it's like the States where you can only serve 2 terms, and then you can't contest again. You're done. So Buhari is not contesting; he's out, right? So he's definitely like so wins again. But he put in a law or a decree, right, last year, maybe around August, there somewhere there in the fall. He was like, right, guys, we are changing our currency, or we're changing the notes of our currency, right? So the 20 naira note and the 100 naira note and the 1,000 naira note are changing. I think 1,000 naira is the highest value of one note, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he's like, those ones are changing. And it's so petty because Talkona, the only thing that the Federal Reserve Bank was changing is just the color. So everything else is the same. So like whatever, so if the color was purple, it's changing to blue. Like, but everything else stays the same, right? But again, this was something that they put in last year. They're like, okay, it's the deadline for you to, so everybody, all citizens in the country, you need to do what? You need to come to the Reserve Bank, or actually, they say go to any bank in Nigeria, and exchange. So if you've got money, if Sena's got, his 50,000 rand or whatever, you need to take your 50,000 rand if it's not already in the bank, and you need to switch it, and the bank will give you the equivalent in cash, right? If you want cash back, or if you just want to deposit it, then you deposit it, no issues, right? So again, on the surface, it sounds like a pretty laid back, like there's no issues type of rule, right? It doesn't sound and there's no maliciousness there. So August until December last year, this is the deadline, guys, get it done, blah, 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 blah. So the me and yous of the world would be like, okay, cool, whatever cash we have, we change, and, we move on with life. But now, here's the problem in Nigeria. There is a lot of, it's a huge population, number one, right?
Yeah.
And because it's a huge population, there's a huge number of unscrupulous individuals who make money in shady ways, right?
Of course.
Either inflating the value of contracts and all these other things that, happen. But then
So
the
now
problem now is
brings the things into light.
these guys have been hoarding cash. No, exactly. So they've been hoarding cash in their houses. People with like, you've seen Narcos, right? So like literally because of how the Naira has devalued, and the highest note, if I'm not, again, I'm pretty sure the highest note is 1,000 Naira, if not, but like the most popular one is the 1,000 Naira note, right? So because that's the highest locus in, think about it. Some of these guys have, 1 billion Naira, right? 1 billion, because 1 billion Naira, if I say, how much is 1 billion Naira in USD, just for people to look at it. How many zeros is 1 billion have? Is it 9?
Yeah, 1 billion is 9.
So I think it's about 200 million. 217 million?
No,
it can't be 2 million. Is it 2 million? Should be 217
Yeah, it's 2 million.
bucks.
1 billion
Right.
naira
So
in
that's
USD. Yeah, it says 2 million.
2 million kuphela.
Well, that's what this thing is saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway.
2,171,000.
Wow.
And 70. Yeah, but
So now we have the basic conversion for people to understand what I'm talking about, right? So 1 billion Naira. Now imagine you've got 1 billion Naira cash engama 1,000 endlini yakho. You can now you can imagine.
So now you have to trade that in.
Exactly. So there's hella earns who have to now come in with trucks, LMI to what? To exchange this money.
And explain.
And now you have to explain. Exactly. So Senna comes
why
in with
this is why I have so much money.
And then he's like, and then the bank is like, oh, okay, sure, thanks, we'll take the 1 billion. Senna, how did you make this 1 billion? State, ama assets out. So you can't even lie and be like, no, me, my business, what because again, in
Yeah.
Nigeria, they tax their citizens. So if you say to know my businesses, then they say, okay, chuck us the what? The tax records. Because the tax records will
You're
align.
filing reports.
So this is now what has happened in Nigeria, where a lot of the big guys who are moneyed up, but they're moneyed up cash wise, right? Most powerful people, but cash wise. What Buhari would did is intentionally try to cut them off, because a lot of these guys now, what they would do, Senna comes to the voting poll, right, on tomorrow on the 25th, and they'll be like, Chief Bianga, I say I vote all right, Bambala, and they'll give you something like, I don't know, 25,000 naira, which maybe is about maybe like 1,000 rand, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Just a quick conversion in my mind. So that's what they'll do. Like, here, Bambalapa, here's 1,000 rand. Make sure that you vote for Atiku. So now the problem is the guy will come to Senna and be like, Senna Bambala, but Senna's gonna be like, but Chief, your money is no longer valid. What am I gonna do with this cash?
Yeah.
Yeah, well. So again, typical African state. So the president goes, right, this is the deadline. And then the Supreme Court in Nigeria said, no, you've given two people too short of a time to exchange this cash. So this rule of yours needs to be postponed. And then everyone's like, okay, great, we can use the money. President came the next day, what I need this shit is off. So now it's confusing.
Why do I sorry just to interrupt you, right?
Go ahead.
Why does this feel targeted, right? It feels like he's trying to fish someone specific out.
It's more
usually that's what these things are.
It's not even about maybe I don't know, but like it's more sort of like there's a specific market of these oligarchs, right, who have all this influence without actually being on the front pages, right? So people who sit and roam in the shadows, but they've got all this money. So he's trying to remove their power in influencing a federal election, which I think is very, very noble. At the end of the day, it's something to do. I think that is quite noble, because again, everything in Nigeria moves in Mali, bro. Like, that's the one African, bro, people have money in that country and people let that shit fly. So I think that's one of the most brilliant moves one can ever do, because now the general citizens who are like, yeah, sure, I'll take that money. Now it's like, why are you even taking that money? Because they can't even bribe you anymore, right? So throughout banks have been seeing the most random people in the world show up with 10, 20,000 rand, because again, no one's really going to scrutinize. If Senna shows up with 20,000 rand, I'm not really going to be like, hey, you know what I mean? It's 20,000 rand. But again, think about how many Sennas you have to find to erase 1 billion in cash.
But I think you can.
It's a lot.
You can sort of do it.
You can.
I mean,
but
if you walk into it does take a lot of time.
How many
but I mean,
Sennas can you trust to get the job done? That's another thing, because it's a lot.
No, of course, you open yourself up for vulnerability. Exactly. But if let's say I wanted to clean 2 million of old rand notes, right? I'm keeping the, how the South African notes also had the big five in the past, and then they changed it to Mandela a few years ago. I don't know why they did that, but anyways, so maybe I'm stuck with the old 200 note in 2 billion rands that I need to exchange. I can see how I can open myself up for theft by Amabhare.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think I can find just enough trustworthy people in my contacts just to be like, okay, guys, let's get this done. When with the company, just take this to the bank, just say that these are your cash reserves you make from clients or whoever. I think there's a way around it, but I take your point, Uguti. You are opening yourself up for vulnerability, because one of them will steal. Someone somewhere.
Yeah, basically signing your own warrant to go to prison.
Yeah.
Because if you show up with that money and you can't claim it, it's like, all right, Chief, one, seizing your assets, two, put on your yellow jumpsuit, you go to jail. And that's why it's such a subtle but a brilliant move to bring those guys in the shadows into the light. Because again, if your business is legit, then there's nothing that they can do. And now moving on to the last part of this whole again, man, Nigeria is so fascinating, bro. Like I was literally being told this, and I was like, this is better than any show that I've ever watched. Like it was mad, like the stakes on the table and everything. So
Yeah.
the one person that I mentioned who was running for president, the kingmaker, right, Utinubu.
Yeah. The
I mentioned in the
playmaker.
beginning, Uti, he was the governor in Lagos State, right? And he was a governor from I think from like 90 something to about 2007. So from 90, he served his term from 1999. Oh, it says high points his term as vice president. Oh, so he was a president, but he was a governor for a similar, the governor of Lagos for a similar period of time. Oh, I'm looking at articles. What was it? Tab. Let me see. Tinubu. Da, 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 da. Yes. So he was, yeah. So Tinubu, former governor of Lagos from 1999 to 2007, right? Whilst at the same time, Atiku was vice president. But anyway,
Okay.
in this period, what Tinubu did, right? And let's keep in mind, our members of parliament and such of Nigeria, their documented salary is 500,000 naira, right? And 500,000 naira is about 5,000 dirhams, which is about 20,000 rand. That's their documented salary per month, right? Or in terms of to the people, you can literally go to your citizens and like, but guys, I'm 20,000 rand, right? So that's context that people need to understand. So anyway, Tinubu, what he did, right? And so the other people who are screwed by this whole currency change thing is because they've been stealing in ways that it's very easy to get caught because you can't claim all of those assets. But what Tinubu did is essentially, so initially what happened was the president at the time saw this guy has got influence, right? And he has a growing influence. So they intentionally didn't direct funds towards Lagos. And this was before Lagos became a powerhouse. They intentionally didn't direct, federal funds towards Lagos because they wanted to essentially starve him and starve his influence, right? So what this guy did, he starts a company that focuses on taxation because they weren't really doing that properly or efficiently at the time. So he starts taxing the residents of his state, and it created such a wealth of funds for the government of Lagos itself that other states are like, holy shit, Lagos now just became the wealth capital of this country in a blink of an eye. And then he's like, right, other states, do you want to know how to do this? And others say, yeah, we want to know how to do this. They're like, sure, you can enlist my company to come and consult for you guys, and we can set up these same structures for your states, except Tina's Tata either 10 or 20% of all revenue. That's how much we're taking. So that's number one, how he made part of his wealth. Like this owner is a billionaire, right? And then part two of it was then before he left, he signs a law into effect. I think it was called like the governor's pension law. And essentially, the government pension law is that for any governor passed or from this point onwards, right? Because until he's signing out, he would get a pension every single year of I think it was like 500 million naira. That's how much you get every single year, plus an allowance for a house every 2 years. Every 2 years, he can get to have a house, and then he gets 5 new vehicles every year, something like that, or every 2 years, one of those type of things. So that's the whole locus pension. So people can be like, bro, you're actually stealing. This is stealing money. What are you doing? You don't need all of this. But technically,
100%.
he's not, because it's law, right? And then it created this vicious cycle where if Senna now becomes governor after this guy, right? Usena is an up-and-coming politician. You're now governor of Lagos. Is Senna going to be the person to repeal that law? No. Number one, because you're afraid of the Godfather.
Benefits me, dog.
And number two, Number two is, you're like, no, it's my turn to eat. Which is another problem we have with
comrades must eat.
African politicians. So literally, the comrades are coming through like, hey, let me pension your food. And think about it. So you don't need a locuzin. You don't need a new house, right? Every 2 years. But guess what? You would get the money. They get the money from it. So they say, okay, we value in Riako. We're going to value it at $1 million USD or whatever that you can build. So every 2 years, you've got $1 million. Now, maybe you might build 3 or 4 houses, but like every 2 years, now just because you were a former governor of Lagos. And now we're in what? We're in 2023. So you can imagine how many governors have served. Maybe let's say 3 or 4, maybe even 5, right? Depending on how votes have gone and shit like that.
Yeah.
But that's all these guys are making money. And for those members of parliament, remember I said, Witty, they only get 20,000 Rand in their salary. But in terms of their allowances, when we converted it, my colleague converted it into dollars. Essentially, because of our allowances, it's $1 million a year, fam. And that might even be me shortchanging them per member of parliament. And I think there's like, what is it, like 400 or 300 or whatever it is.
Whoa.
So literally, the national
Also, we have very
budget,
bloated parliaments in Africa.
yeah, it's like half of these niggas don't need to be there. So think about how much the national budget, right? Where 1 year paying off debt to China and the World Bank, and the roads. Hello, the roads actually need to be fixed, and all this other infrastructure needs to be in the country. Think about probably a third of that is going to service these government big cats. And I was like, that's the most African story I've ever heard. It was like,
bro,
it was mad. I couldn't believe it, bro. So it's a whole
But like I said,
with these words.
Comrades must eat. So who do you think will become president? You think it'll be the young guy? What's his name? Obi.
I think Obi. I think he just came up with the episode title "Comrades Must Eat," but that's hilarious.
Yeah, they must chow, bruh.
But I don't know.
They must
honestly,
eat. That's the same reason. No, I'm thinking that's the same reason Pala Pala is still an open thing. It's the same reason Silo's still president. Same reason Zuma is president for so long. Because people must chow. It's political, African political heritage.
Yeah, no, it really is African political heritage. But in terms of what the citizens are saying, they're saying it's a very, very close call because of what I mentioned earlier about the cultural lines and the other two guys splitting the vote. I think there's a fourth, but from the articles I'm seeing, it looks like it's only 3. But so it really is an open race, and the fact that obviously the vote buyers, it's now a lot harder to buy people's votes and a lot more expensive as well. Because now think about how much you've worked, right, to convert your old currency into new currency. Are you really going to want to burn it all over again? And then and remember I mentioned with the Atiku thing, with Abantubati, he's just coming to steal. Atiku has contested, I think, at least 3 to 4 elections that he's lost. And all these guys by Tenga, right, allegedly, but Tenga my votes. And it was estimated that maybe this guy has spent over $1 million or was it $1 million or 100 million? I can't even remember. Dollars. Having to, because in terms of Abantu Abagu government, their votes cost and their influence rather is minimum $25,000. Right, we start there.
Oh, heck.
25K.
Okay.
So think about it. 3 different elections, maybe even 4 different elections. And you got to 25, and then random citizens. And you still lost. So this is why I was saying with Tukona, he's coming to steal because man needs to recoup. He's lost a lot of money.
Of course he is.
Yeah. So he needs to come and recoup those funds that he invested in trying to be president. So if Atiku is president, guys. Like it's and that's the sad thing. What makes it sad to me is just the citizens see it coming, right? We know the word on the street. I don't have to be from Nigeria to relate to a lot of these things. Like I'd be in Nigeria and I take a taxi to my hotel and sometimes I'll talk politics with the taxi driver and it's I'm just like I could literally exchange the names you're putting and put the Zim comrades or put the South African comrades and same exact story, bro. And it's like these guys, what, 70, 76? The youngest guy is 61? It's like, damn, I'm like, we really have a long way to go. Like that part really breaks my heart. In terms
with
of
them.
These guys, they don't want it to change because it pays so well.
On the question of Nigerian elections, right? I have an understanding of how Zim elections work, South African elections. Do you think the election process is compromised? So are the votes counted fairly, or is there rigging involved?
So what I was told, for the most part, the count is fair. from my understanding, the count is fair.
Okay.
It's because all of the other mischief happens beforehand. So like there's no need to rig because you've put your agents out in there, everyone is standing by a street corner with their 50,000 naira to bambala, 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 bambala. So like that's
Mm-hmm.
really because again in Nigeria, because it's such a vast population, you do have the manpower to to get funds into the streets. You can do that, and
Okay.
you can do it
Okay.
efficiently. So that's where for the most part, it hasn't been a case of hey, lose. There was manipulation on the backside. It's literally more so you do the work before, and then once you've done the work, you trust the process, and boom, president. So it's a sad state of African politics, to be honest. But I
Yeah.
really found it fascinating. I hope you and the listeners were equally fascinated by all of this drama. The election is tomorrow, and I think we'll know who won by the end of the week. My colleague said usually by
Okay.
Thursday, Friday, the writing will be on the wall in terms of,
Who's
what's this
one?
thing called? Who's won? But they don't do it like the States, where in the States, it's more about you have to win the number of states, regardless of population. There's a certain threshold of states you have to win. Whereas in Nigeria, it's more African in that, it's the number. It doesn't matter. So even
Okay.
if you win
Okay.
your more states than the other guy, as the other guy had votes from the most populated states, the other guy wins. So it's just about the number at the end of the day,
Okay.
not about the number of states
Okay.
that you win. So I don't know. Do you feel like the American one is a better model in terms of counting states rather than people?
No. No, I don't believe in
Really?
that. I think,
I feel like
yeah,
it's
one
better.
man, one vote. One man, one vote. I think one man, one vote is the best way to go about it, right? So you just tally the person who most people voted for, and then that's it. I think it's a
Okay.
simple way to approach majority rules. I
Okay.
think
All right.
the college system as it is, so the college system, right? And it's a matter of good. You guys vote for representatives, and then in each state and then the representative is the one who then goes and then declares that the state is officially to this person.
Yeah.
Uh, nah, one man, one vote, majority wins. Maybe it's because I never lived in the states, so probably don't have that firm understanding fully of the benefits of the American system. So if I go deep into it, maybe I'd have a greater appreciation. But I've just always felt that the way we do it here is the right way.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I feel like it's a conversation for another day in terms of really scrutinizing the differences between the two. But yes, guys, that's what's going on in Nigeria at the moment. A little bit of current news for y'all. Again, it's more. I didn't have a complete understanding, but that's generally what's going on. That's the 411 on the political candidates, and we'll see. We'll see how things go. Obviously, I'm going to be a lot more invested than y'all. But yeah, that's about it, Mr. Moore.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. We give thanks. We give thanks. Siyabonga political don don.
So we killing skies, Philip. But let me see here. Okay, yeah. So this is something interesting. We can touch on it real quick. It's deep, but it's interesting. It was interesting to me. So it centers a little bit around cancel culture. So we have so you know who Kyrie Irving is, right? NBA superstar.
Yes.
We spoke about him with the whole anti-Semitic comments a few weeks ago and stuff like that, right? So that's kind
Yep.
of so this past weekend was the All-Star break, and it was hosted in Utah. And they introduced
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie because he was an all-star in this game, and there was significant boos for Kyrie Irving, right? And it's thought that most of the
Okay.
boos stemmed from the fact that people are still mooning you at the anti-Semitic comments and the shit that he had said or did or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
people, again, in terms of in isolation, it's like whatever, it happens, whatever, it is what it is, right? But people were a little bit what can I say? For lack of a better term, they started to compare. They were a bit judgy because in Utah, the significance of Utah is that they've had two long-term superstars who've now long retired. These guys competed in Michael Jordan's era, right? So they are Karl Malone and John Stockton. So Utah has an NBA team called the Utah Jazz. So Karl Malone and John Stockton are NBA legends who played primarily for the Utah Jazz, right? So the fans of that city obviously love Karl Malone. They love John Stockton. Those are their guys. So Karl Malone was also at All Star break. He was celebrated because they got the top three scorers of all time. So Karl Malone is number 3 all time. Kareem is number 2 all time, and LeBron is number 1. Right, just got to number 1. So they did a whole little tribute to the top 3. Michael Jordan wasn't there. I think Jordan's number 5, Kobe's number 4, if I have it right. But anyway, so the 3 of them were there. So they did a little tribute thing, took a picture. Just the usual. These things that FIFA and these organizations do, right? Small. Here's a video. Take a picture for the gram, and then move on. So when Karl Malone was brought up, it was mainly cheers, kind of audible boos a little bit, but again, let's say 80 to 90% cheers for Karl Malone. So people were just like, I think it's funny that that's how it starts. I think it's funny that Kyrie Irving gets booed for his situation, right? But you people go and you cheer on Karl Malone. So now here's the issue with Karl Malone. There's a story that's kind of been following him around. Uguti, he got a 13-year-old girl pregnant, right? But this happened.
That's criminal.
But this happened when he was 20 years old. Karl Malone is 61 at the moment, 60 or 61 years old. So this happened 40 years ago, right? But again, this is something that now, because people are now trying to compare Amatal, right? That's what happens. Hey, it was when he did this, it was when he did that. So this is what, 1984 that this happened, and this was just before I'd say just before his career, or just at the beginning of his NBA career. This happens. I think Karl Malone is from one of them kind of like Alabama type states. Where is Karl Malone?
Louisiana.
Karl Marx from? Oh, he's from Louisiana. Okay, cool. So Louisiana. So again, it can get, depending on where, right? Summerfield, I don't know if that's a real country, but I'm seeing the pictures here, and it's looking real country.
It's just it sounds like proper white.
Someone Google images, so it's looking real country. But anyway, so Karl Malone is from the country. It's 1984. We know Ogutin in 1984. Half the shit that happened back then would never stand in 2024, right? So where I was kind of like, okay, so I had a conversation with a friend. He was like, oh yeah, it's weird how people can boo Kyrie, who had his situation, and we know what happened. But how can you cheer on someone like Karl Malone who got a 13-year-old pregnant? So I didn't know the story personally, right? And then he told me, like, what did he do? He tells me. I'm like, oh shit. So obviously, I'm like, yeah, that is fucked up, right? And then I look up the actual story in terms of, because I'm like, whoa, what actually did happen? And I'm seeing with you one, it's 40 years ago. So I'm like, oh, that's because I was like, there's no way this comes out now and I don't hear about it. Like, there's no way, right? Especially in this day and age. But because it's such an old story, it's just one of those, like, you have to be one of those people that's like, nah, Vilemi, I'll never forgive him. Gunje. Like, you're the one beating that drum. But it's typically a minority when someone carries a story that old, right? But when I thought about it, I felt like, okay, so the way Karl Malone is celebrated today as one of the greatest scorers in the NBA, like, this happened at the beginning of his NBA career. If something like this happened at the beginning of someone new, right, someone who just got drafted this year, they would never ever play another game in the NBA. They're done, right? They're done.
Yeah.
So they would have never have gotten started. So I feel like it says a lot about what we accepted in society, that this happens, right, back then. And people are like, okay, sharp. Anyway,
and then now we're cool with it.
And you become one of the greatest players of all time, bro. Greatest players of all time.
There's an unspoken... it's almost an unspoken thing with regards to, like, cancellations in society at the moment, right? it almost as if the cancellation tag prescribes, like it expires. Because I even think about it. I think about Chris Brown today, right? And then I compare it to like a couple other people were who are accused of like domestic violence and abusing women and all these things.
Yeah.
Chris Brown beat up Rihanna, was it 2011, 2008, 9, thereabout, Ang Sawazi, but it's over 10 years ago, right?
Yeah. It's been a span.
Cancel culture became big during the Cosby days, 2016, 17, just after 2015, right?
Him and R. Kelly, I think, were the first to kind of get it.
Yes, and their story sort of came out at that peak. I mean, R. Kelly's story was 2002, and then he married Aaliyah in 97, and then continued to live a whole life. And it was only until he started doing his weird things again in 2015 where people were like, we're now in a different era, a different time,
Jalago.
right? Yeah, but society had forgiven him and celebrated him for years before he creeped up and came out again, started doing weird things. Cosby stories only came to light during obviously the age of cancel culture. I think this is probably similar in the sense that because it happened so far back, people have almost not forgotten, but they've just chosen that it doesn't apply now. It was like a thing for back then. Even like I said, the Chris Brown thing. If he had beat up Rihanna in 2020 or 2021, he'd be off Spotify, he'd be off Apple Music, he'd be off all these streaming sites, he'd be done, like he'd be finished, right? But because there's sort of this whole Udala, it's not so much anymore. We can continue to listen to his music and we stream his stuff, and it's the same with this guy, right? His offense happens to have been, when was it, 98, 90s, when he got the teenage girl pregnant. So people are now on some ngwakudala. But if it happened now, right, like you said, he'd be
Yeah.
catching hella smoke. I don't know why that is though. Why we're not that our memories are short, but why we choose to discount things from Gudala.
Yeah, it's. I think the part of it is at the end of the day, like, one important thing. So I'm checking out the article now, and he got this girl pregnant when he was in university. He was still in university, so this was even before he got drafted into the NBA.
So I think you said he was 20,
So
right? And she was
yeah,
30.
it was about 20. Yeah, yeah. So again, it's still a very disturbing age difference, like that you're looking at kids like that and all that other shit. So, but then my thing is, obviously, if you even bring it closer into an African context, right? If you go back to that period, right, or even further back, right, there's a lot of people's parents or grandparents, especially, who that's the age when they were like engaging some of these girls or maybe marrying them and all these other stuff. Like, this is not something new in terms of our culture that has happened, which obviously has been, or at least mostly eradicated up to now, but it's something that was there at the time, right?
Yeah.
Where I think maybe people get conflicted is that, okay, this is something that we did accept, right? And for whatever reason, it was accepted at the time. It happened at that point in time, right? If I don't know if Carmelo has shown any remorse for it, actually. So if he hasn't, I think it changes a lot. I think if he has, like, yo, this was really messed up. I was a product of my time.
I think
And so
didn't he?
I think that's different.
So from what I read initially, isn't he like deny the whole thing, right? And then there was
So
like a whole lawsuit. They took him to court trying to confirm
yeah, and then they
paternity and blah
settled.
blah blah.
Yeah, yeah. So there was a whole look. There was a paternity test, and then it got settled, outside of court and all this other stuff. But like, I think this whole thing, but again, when these things happen, way back then, right? It's really difficult to drum up the same level of like intensity. Like I said, if when I first heard about, I thought this is breaking news, and I was like, really, it's late. And part of the conversation of why this happened with Carmelo and a lot of people are uncomfortable is because there's a statue of him outside the stadium in Utah, right, to honor, because again, he was such a great basketball player. So it's this really complicated conversation where it's like, okay, with cancel culture, like, do you cancel him because of what he did at the time? But I think if he's not remorseful, right? If he comes out on TV and it's like, hey, listen, it is what it is, right? Then obviously, hey, bruh, me personally, you're off my list of, I don't consider you as, you can be great at basketball, but I don't rate you, right? But then again, if he
But you
was
see, no
incredibly
one's gonna.
remorseful, then I think it's like, okay, I'm willing to sort of not, I guess, I don't know if forgive is the right word. I guess maybe forgive, but like, it's like, okay, I can't crucify you fully because you were a product of your time. Like, he was not the first and he was not the only one. It was almost even, again, in different parts of the world, almost like expected. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're growing up in the country and that's what happens, then obviously it's a different situation. But if you're doing something wrong even at that point in time, then yeah, it's, you can't rate the guy at all. But I think it's just weird as you sometimes as sports fans will put into these very difficult positions. Because imagine if me and you are from Utah, right? And the glory days of our team, we only saw them when that man was on the court. When me and you were most happy, it was when this brother was on the court. It puts you in a very
Yeah.
morally ambiguous space.
I see. Ngiyabona. Ah. No, I'm just thinking. I'm thinking about the whole thing, right? I'm trying to. There's someone else that I had in mind. Mike Tyson. He went to jail, right? For it was for rape, right? I think Tyson went to jail for
Really?
rape. Yeah, Mike Tyson went to, but you see that's another fascinating thing, right? You don't hear about it now. Like
Yeah.
it's not
You only hear
in
about the ear biting.
you only hear about the ear biting, and then he
Yeah.
appears on TV. He's funny, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, funny tough guy with the voice
Yeah.
and the yeah." But he was how many
The
years did he
lisp.
go to jail for? Yeah, with the lisp. He was in jail for. Let me have a look. Iron Mike Tyson. First marriage according. I'll look for it. It's a whole lot of reading and research I have to do. But he was arrested, came out of prison, fought again, and then from there, he's in the public limelight. He's out there. He's not cancelled in a way. It does make you wonder. Which, okay, cool, guys. Where, as a people, do we draw these lines? But fun times. An interesting dilemma.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to touch on that because I felt like that was, something interesting just to have a conversation about in terms of like, obviously the ethical ambiguity and what we choose to be outraged about versus what we don't choose to be outraged, because that's mad. Getting someone that young, a girl that young, pregnant is terrible. Like, again, if it happened now, that's really, it's late for him. But man, literally, to be called up by the NBA when it's a weekend, Lukuzining. But I guess what some people were saying was
All-Star
because
weekend.
it's such a big weekend, and because it's in Utah, and in Utah they really had John Stockton and Karl Malone. Like, if he's not there, it's so evident, right? It's just like, bro, what the fuck, right? Why is Karl Malone not here? And it would then generate a lot more conversation. Whereas if it was like in Los Angeles, Los Angeles has had so many superstars that if they didn't invite one who was controversial, no one is really going to be like, "Katilo anungapi," right? It's easier to hide when you have a lot more greats. But if you like, hey, bruh, this is our only great, this is who we have to show, then at that point it's going to be very, really, really evident. So I think maybe the NBA was just like, we have to do it, that's our choice, and let's hope this doesn't become a big deal. And also, again, to his credit, he really stays off the radar because he knows Ahmad Galak, right? He knows he's not really well liked, so he does a lot to stay under the radar. Doesn't make public appearances like that too much. Like, he's just one of those, when you see him, then the conversation kind of comes up a bit. But I'm sure the conversation is dead about him now. No one's talking up because, again, he's gone back to his house and he's continued life and all this other shit.
But do you think
anyway,
do you think the media is complicit? Do you think the media is complicit in not bringing stuff like that too
Absolutely,
light,
because
right?
the
Like
media
they think they're
just goes
very
with whatever
picky.
trends. They choose, and it was there's a story about one NFL former NFL star Brett Favre. Apparently, he stole money
Yeah.
from what was it, like these pension fund type things, like the money that was supposed to go to poor people in his state. He somehow was able to influence the governor to use those funds to rebuild a volleyball stadium at his daughter's university. Right, so some wild shit. Like it was like, bruh, this money is supposed to be going to the needy, right? But it barely got any traction in terms of the media shows that I watch. But then the Kyrie Irving shit was on every day, bruh. Every
Hey, that was
day.
everywhere, bro. Even
Yeah,
I,
it's
even I
everywhere.
don't follow like American media and basketball like that, but I knew. So I
No,
guess
that's why you see with
there's
the media
very
is very
selective.
picky.
So just to confirm, I found out Tyson was sentenced to 6 years in '92, and then he served 3 years and was released on probation in
Wow.
'95 for rape.
Sports will
He's a
compromise you,
registered
bruh.
he's a registered sex offender under federal law.
Really?
Yeah, he is. But you see, these are things that it's you have to kind of dig and watch
Yeah.
documentaries and all of that stuff to find out about. If you Google Anthony Anderson now and go on his Wikipedia, and you'll
The
see a long
actor.
rap sheet. Yeah, the actor. You see,
Oh.
you'll see him on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and you're like, oh, Anthony Anderson, oh, must be one of the
Yeah.
most wholesome comedians out there. He's got a
Yeah.
long rap sheet of sexual assault allegations and complaints,
You watch Blackish.
dude. But just literally, just go on his Wikipedia.
Sexual assault.
Let me pull up this thing, dog.
That's one of the most lovable dudes, man.
Let me
Senna,
pull
don't
this
be
thing.
ruining like my favorite actors, man. Like what the hell? That's
Anderson.
mad.
Okay, so Anthony Anderson, personal life, rape and sexual assault allegations. Anderson was accused of raping a 25-year-old extra in a trailer in 2004. Um, Anderson was sued for sexual assault for another woman in 2004. In July 2018, he was being investigated by the LAPD for another sexual assault allegations. Yeah,
Damn.
there's quite a few. But that's what I'm saying. With some of these things, it's there, but it's just not in your face like that, right? And you kind of curated your experience about who to be mad at and kind of who to rise up against is it's guided.
Nah, but his I feel like is more egregious because like at least with these Karl and Tyson, they aren't on TV pretending to have a wholesome family and like it's like a show that I would watch with Ukamo when he was like when he's like 5 years 6 years old or something like that. You know what I mean? Like we'll turn it on as a family. We'll sit down on the couch and and it's like, but this dude is doing this in real. Like what? I feel.
Well, I guess
I'm
his
much more terrified by that.
I guess his defenders will say, like R. Kelly's fans used to say for years, he's been found innocent, right? Um, like most of the cases were struck out just due to a lack of evidence. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, but it's literally always the case, right, with these
Yeah,
things.
but
It is
it's
no,
hard to
it's
prove
it's,
in
it's the
court anyway.
hardest crime to ever prove in court. For all the gents who are always asking, hey, why do we always say believe women? Because naturally, rape is the most difficult. The prosecution rate is actually really low for the crime that's committed. So that's why most people get off.
I mean, Senna, I think you found a way for us to perfectly segue into something that our followers really wanted us to touch on, or
Okay.
which I'm a bit unsure, just because I don't think I understand what happened. There was so much Shona going around, bro. I was just like, at some point I'm like, hey, okay, this is what I can make out. And it is what it is. But so the contender for this week's episode title was actually keyword membranous tissue. Anyway, so Senna, your boy is in the news. He's made headlines. So
Why do you keep saying
everybody
he's
needs
my
to know
boy?
this is Senna's guy. Didn't you claim the earth? That's what Nat was saying.
Oh, I didn't
That's your
claim.
guy. Stand
Nat
by
said
your
his son as
mans.
BF.
Best man to be. Oh my goodness. Wait, Senna, you said
I
something.
explained. Yeah,
I have a question. I have a quick question.
yeah.
You said
Yeah.
that he's not really a lawyer. What do you mean by that?
Tau. I don't want to be sued
That's
for
what you
defamation of
said.
character and whatever. That's what
Okay,
the Han said
allegedly.
yesterday,
All
right?
right, fine.
So allegedly,
Oh, so you're going by
Homegirl
what
said
the
he's
Hun
not.
said. Not this is
Yes,
not
yes,
you.
yes. No, it's not me, dog. This is not me. This is not me.
Okay. Oh, I thought you had the inside track on that. So I was like, oh,
No, I'm
breaking
like,
news, But
no. She was
that's
clearly
your
saying
boy.
he's. No, can I give context into? I gave context as to how I know him. Can I give it again? Just
Okay,
so.
give it again. Give it again.
Um, Back in the day, way back when I was starting my legal career, I joined a consultancy which was founded by one of my mentors. My mentor went to high school with said gent, and I think they'd known each other since then. And then he's like, "Look, this is one of my business partners. We're gonna work with him," and that's how I met him.
So you did
There
work with him.
on one matter, and then I and then I left and I made my own way and forged my own path, as fate would have it. So it just became one of those guys, like when you interact with someone on the TL, where you're like, okay, no, it's a lawyer from Zim, someone in my field. But
Yeah.
then with time, and that's, I guess,
Yeah.
life, because life is fine. Like with time, people start DMing like, bro, did you see this tweet from the boy? I'm like, okay, asas. And then with time, you also just like, okay, cool, this is the type of person I think. So he's not my boy like that. I also met him through someone, and it was meant to be a working sort of thing, and then I just
So
went
he's an
on with my life.
acquaintance.
Yeah, that's also putting it very kindly, but he's an acquaintance. I'll say acquaintance. The funny thing is, the person who this is some inside. The person who actually introduced me to him then texted me as if people are aware. abantu bakuphika njengojesu emhlabeni, bro. So
What did the say?
he texts me on some, bro, your boy is trending. I'm like, my boy. Chief, I met that nigga through you. Y'all went
Man
to
has all
school
the clear
together.
shit, bro.
And his response to me was, Chief, may I'll sue you for defamation if you ever say that to me.
Oh my god. That's hilarious.
When you're
That's
wilding,
hilarious.
people will deny you worse than Peter did to Jesus. So that's how I
Yeah,
know him.
absolutely.
So after I stopped working in that environment, I kind of just never reached out or spoke to him again. Besides the odd, you'll see just on follow each other on Twitter, and then you just see tweets and you'll see a whole bunch of things, and you're like, oh, okay, that's where this guy is with his life. But yeah, that's
So
how I know
so
him,
so
Mr.
it
Max.
looks and sounds like the guy is actually a lawyer, right? So at least from our vantage point, it looks like everything is on board. Because hey, anyway, so this individual by the name of Tabani Mnyama, the same guy who did that weird thread about trapping his wife, he was back at it again. Apparently, him and an ex, he doesn't say they dated, an ex fling, yape yape, had been subbing each other on Twitter. That's what I understand of the matter. I don't know who started what, when. All I know is, man, the tweet that she put out was
So
fire.
it's
Though. I feel like that needs to be read
so
verbatim.
so I think it started with a sub, right? Let me pull this up because I think the people want us to do this justice. So
No. Her tweet, I was like, yo, this is a fire tweet though. Like if you,
No, so it started. Didn't it start with him subbing her
I don't know.
on
He claims that he
some?
he 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 locals in. Bro, hey, there's hella tweets about this thing. Okay, so I think this is the
Okay, cool,
beginning.
cool, cool, cool. So there's a tweet that says, "Quote this with a sub for someone," right?
Wait, hold on. So that DM'd us the $3 tweet, and she DMs and says, "Send us friends."
You
Oh
see the
god.
one she sent afterwards. So she sent a
The
couple
one
more,
that
right?
starts in Shona.
No, she sent a couple
The
more, and then she's like,
Akarambo
"Send us
and
BF."
Kazami. Oh yes. I see that. So you have that one, the quoted one.
Yeah, so it says, "Quote this tweet with a sub for someone," right? And then it says, "This one goes out to a deadbeat Tweleb who goes around lying that he's rich and stuff, trust fund, whatnot, when he is just nothing, living off other women's money. I think you're the one who needs therapy and heal. My wife this, iwe uri hure. I mean," and then she obviously
Jeez.
calls him out by name. So
Bars.
it's no longer a sub, and then she says heal.
No, the fact. So I read that and I'm like, oh, I wonder who she's talking about, right? Like, because obviously
No, then she put his name.
I wondered, but yeah, I know. So, but as I'm reading it, I'm like, hey, I wonder who she's talking about, right? But like in my mind, I didn't expect to know, right? So I'm thinking I'm gonna read this tweet. I'm gonna move on with the workday, and then at the bottom I see the name. I'm like, yo, she said the nigga's government name, bro, and I was like, this is wild.
But you know what, right? So I think she was responding to his quoted tweet on the same tweet, right? Because his quoted tweet is earlier than that, right? So he goes, "You're a bottom barrel han whom no sane guy of class will ever settle for." As I don't know why you guys took up people after you've slept with them like this. I don't understand. You're a bottom barrel. You're a bottom barrel han whom no sane guy of class will ever settle for. At best, they will sleep with you and keep moving. Your anger and bitterness is from the brokenness within you. Heal from the trauma of your abusive ex-husband and find peace. Yo, that was low.
Yeah,
That was low.
being
And
called
then
a
obviously,
bottom
then
barrel
she
hand is
went,
wild.
yeah, and then she went and then put his name on blast, and that's where the whole conflict that kept a lot of Harare Twitter occupied yesterday.
Bruh, there was three spaces. There was one when I was at work. I jumped in on that one because Tawani was on that one. So I was like, let me see if these niggas are actually being legit, right? So I jumped in on that. And then that space was on for a minute, bro. I was like in and out. But like that space, I think lasted like 3 hours maybe. And
Yeah,
then there was
yeah,
another space.
in the
Ipsu.
evening,
And
which also lasted
and that one
three
was
hours.
with the Han. That one also pushed 3 hours.
Yeah, I went on for long, dog. It went on for long because I think it
And there was
started
another
off
one
when I
this
was going to
morning, dog.
eat. About the same
There was another
double.
one this morning.
What
I
I
think
can
so. I
conclude,
didn't go in.
what
I
I
didn't
can
go in. I know
conclude,
I woke up in the morning, checked Twitter, and I saw the same handle with the space, and I was like, hi. So
but you know what? You know what it is, right? So for those without context, so people spent the whole day discussing this thing. Obviously, the two protagonists were fighting each other, throwing insults at each other on Twitter the whole day. Besilwa, XYZ, back and forth.
yeah.
Hey, this when Iwewe Uchihure, I don't like you. But the tweet that set it off was she posted a picture of the two of them, and then said Mugai didn't have money to buy, didn't have $3 to buy a morning
$3.
afters. Yeah, $3 to buy a morning afters after they did the things, and then she I think had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Guy is married, which for the wife that's very embarrassing.
And is this the same
And then
one
I
who was trapped in the first Lokuze, in his first
sounds like
fiasco?
it.
Is this
Yeah, sounds like it. That's the
poor
one
hand,
who
bro?
was trapped by pregnancy. But anyways, right? So I'm not. To be honest, I take all the stuff with a pinch of salt sometimes because I'm ever not sure if what people are sharing on Twitter is a real life thing. You told Uguti we're
Yeah.
all throwing our opinions over people who are doing this for fun. right? They just want to rile people up, right? Maybe Bahleka
Yeah,
too on
yeah.
some, listen, guys, it's fake. Like, isn't that initial thread? And he later came out and said what he was just playing around to, in a very sick and twisted game, trigger feminists, which is,
Or did he tweet that?
I think that's what he was saying. Didn't you send me something where apparently he said that?
So he told he told a mutual friend, because one of my boys
Oh,
was like,
my
I
mutual
know the guy. I
friends.
was like, he told a mutual acquaintance
Oh,
someone
hey,
who
mana,
who
oh.
knows him. Ah, yeah, no. I misspoke. I need my someone who knows him. Someone who knows. But the thing is, there's always people who are always in a rush to claim. You always have that friend. Oh yeah, Nyamas. Oh me, I know this guy. And I'm like, yeah, well. So he was our resident Hilo Nyamas, right? So obviously,
I was quick
that
to
was in the
put
group chat.
distance.
No. So the first that was in the group chat was like, yo, this is wild. My man jumps in unprovoked and he's like, how could Tabani say this? This is wild. And they're like, Kari Chief, why does it sound like you know this guy? It's like, yeah, I know him. He's my boy. How? Yeah, well, okay. Well, in my mind, I'm like, okay, now I'm curious. I'm like, yo, can you confirm this shit is real or not? Because there's no way this shit is real. Chief came in, asked the guy, and then the guy was like, no, it's fake. I'm just fucking around, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, well, okay.
Okay.
Cool. If the guy says it's fake, he's messing with people, then, hey, it is what it is, right? So that was kind
Who
of
are we to say otherwise?
Hey, that was my. But then there's still other people who hadn't gone. Who are like, no, he's just saying that because he's getting cooked on Twitter. Hey, what Tintin? I'm like, at this point, it's now, we said,
Yeah.
he said. It's like,
So
whatever. It is
exactly.
what it is.
So that's why with the whole thing and back and forth yesterday. Hey, hure. Hey, you got me pregnant. Didn't have money for morning afters, and all these things. In my head, I'm thinking, why would people fight like this the whole day when they have each other's numbers? Why are they bringing this into the public? So that's the only part of me where I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe this was all just to waste everyone's time.
Someday. Like, wait, guys.
Yeah, dog.
Wait.
But in any event, right? So this went on the whole day, back and forth. Obviously, Mugel is saying he's a fake. He's saying she's a hoe. Guningi, right? But this had
Yeah,
people
there's
in
a lot.
spaces throughout a workday. And it made me realize, Uguti, actually, in Davos, I went to Zimnandi, guys. I stepped.
You're not serious.
No. I stepped into a meeting yesterday afternoon. Right, it was a longish meeting. I think it was about an hour, 2 hours. I was in a meeting for 2 hours, so I wasn't on my phone. I was offline. I come back, right. DMs from friends talking about the space. Uguti, he's saying this, he's saying that. Remember, I even texted you. I was like, "How guys, catch me up, Pelangoba."
Yeah.
What's going on now? What's he saying? What's she saying? Right? Because I realized that was about to Zimnandi. Secondly, it's always good when it's not your Ndabas
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
that are being the topic of discussion. That's very important. The other part of it, I understand why women like reality TV now. Actually, I'd watch my partner watch about Real Housewives. I'm like, what do you enjoy about all this? Because
Yeah.
it's reality, but how is it entertaining? Because it's just people living their lives. But it's just the fact that it's drama, and apparently they're not acting; it's their real lives, which makes it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It adds
That's
a
what
bit
sells.
more. Yeah, it's what sells, right? And then two, judging by the number of people who are in the spaces, I cannot accept the narrative anymore that women like indaba and gossip more than men. I think
Oh man, nah, fam. I mean, how many niggas were in that space though? How many niggas were in that space?
there were. To be honest, so I jumped onto, because I think after what's in Tampama, the second one, right? Because the one during the day I missed complete. So the second one, where I think the Han was now explaining things.
Yeah.
So I jump onto it, I think when you said, "Hey guys, the Shona is skipping me," what?
Yeah.
There were so many guys who were speaking and giving their 2 cents about it. And what was funny is people were actually like, like it was like like a parliamentary session where we're debating in Dabasabadabaitu. And there were so
No,
many
but you know
guys
what,
getting involved saying
Senna,
XYZ
let
and
me let me just say
ABC.
this real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think the reason why there was more dudes, I would like to think, because again I didn't scroll. There's like, bro, there's like 1,000, more than 1,200 people on that shit, right? When I was on Emin, I would
Yeah.
like to think that when Tabani was on, it was more women, because I did hear quite a few women who expressed their opinions, right, when they were busy sharing the mic or whatever it was. But I think, and it would make sense, right? This dude is out here bashing a Han, so obviously there's going to be a lot of other Hans who are going to come and cape up, right? And I think it makes sense on the other side. Uguti, there's this Han bashing a dude, and there will be a lot more other dudes who want to come and cape up for Tab. I mean, and I heard some outlandish opinions, bro. Like someone jumped on, and he was like, "Oh no, Tabani, I love how you handled the situation, Hey, bro, these hands just be trapping niggas," or something along those lines. Like, bro, it was like proper, congratulations. And I was just like, bruh, like, you love how he handled that shit? Because like in my mind, nothing could ever get me to the point of starting to post a screenshot on Twitter. Like I at that point, like, it's not me anymore. Like, if you guys see me, like, it's just, I think it's always better to just ignore. Maybe you can put out a tweet and be like, "Hey guys, listen, you're saying some wild shit out there, but I want to buy a shine," or something like that, right? That's the most I think I'd ever do. But to now go back and forth, be quoting shit, "Hey, I've been ignoring you, but now really you want the smoke, so you go get the smoke," like all this other shit. I'm like, bro, first of all, 99.9%, like you said, we just like Indab, right? That's number one. Nobody gives a fuck about the two of you,
Yeah.
right?
Really.
Like, so imagine you're busy, you're fighting for your life, and in all in the name of what, right? Because at the end of the day, the demographic of people that's gonna think you're guilty is not gonna change, and the demographic of people that's gonna think you're innocent is not gonna change. But also the other lesson that I learned being on that space is there's that tweet. It references women specifically, but in my context, I mean all of us, right? Where it's a popular tweet that people like using when a han does or tweets some outlandish shit. I don't support all women. Some of you bitches is dumb, and in this case, bitches is men and women. That's literally how I felt being on that space. I was like, nah. Some of you niggas is dumb. There's no way someone can literally unmute a microphone and spew certain things that they spewed. And I was like, really? Like, and my conclusion was just, you know what? ZANU is the government that we deserve. We don't deserve a better government. As a people of Zim, we really don't. We really, I was like, I'm listening to that. I'm like, if I was Jesus, I'd literally be like to the other angels, like, do you really think these guys deserve better governance? Do you hear this shit? That would literally be my case study, bro. Like, you have to act, you have to act correct. Growing up, our parents would be like, what would they tell us? If you want, eat allowance, if you want toys, if you want this and that, you need to act right. You need to act right, right? And I don't think on that space we was acting right. First of all, the subject matter that brought us there, number one. That's my biggest problem. The subject matter.
I think
that
the
brought
title
us there is
the title of it killed me, right? Bro. So the title was like Harare is a big bedroom.
Nah, bro. It really is. It really is. Like, I think it's just honestly speaking, I felt a level of depression. It's just being like, why am I here? Why are all of us here? It's just listening to all of this and but again, I would think if I had to pick, right? If I had to analyze, Tawani didn't really market himself, at least on his space. He didn't market himself as a likable guy, right? And that's where I started questioning the legitimacy of this whole thing, because I'm like, it's almost like he was playing a character. Where remember Blue Therapy? Do you remember?
Yeah,
you watched that, right? Did you watch it?
Paul. Was it the
Yeah.
guy's name Paul? I watched it.
Eh,
The
I
guy's
think
name
I
Paul, the
think I
one
think
who
his
was
name
like
was Paul.
intentionally a dickhead.
So it felt like some Paul and Chioma shit. It really did. Like it's because I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, if I was in his position, right? Some of the things. So he was like, so Auntie Twa, the girl claims that she was pregnant. And then
Yes.
someone unmutes their microphone and they would say something like, "Hey, so when she was pregnant, and then immediately when the hunt said that, he cut her off, and he was like, allegedly, allegedly, allegedly." And like the person is trying to make their point and he talks over them. He's like, allegedly, allegedly, allegedly. I'm like, bruh, like what the fuck? And then then people ask him like, why are you saying, you know what, allegedly? Like you don't scheme it happens. Like, no. And then listen, this is when shit didn't make sense anymore, right? Because he's like, no, she's lying about this pregnancy situation. It never happened because all she sent me was a picture of a blood clot, right? So he says all she sent him was a picture of a blood clot, and then he took it for analysis from his wife who's in the medical field and asked someone else and someone else, and the conclusion was
Side
it
note.
lacked membranous
Yeah.
tissue, and that's what like,
It liked what?
when he dropped the membranous tissue, bro, I passed out laughing. Mama said membranous tissue.
Wait,
The blood clot
I
did not
cannot.
have membranous tissue. That's wild. How did you say that?
Do you see where?
Bro?
No, but also, side note, I get a side chick pregnant, right? And then she, first of all, I've cheated on my wife. I get a side chick pregnant. My
No.
wife who's over.
He claims they went together.
He claims they went together.
Yeah. He
So
claims
then
they went together.
why is he saying? So then why did he send? Maybe it's inconsistent now, right? Then why would he send that whole miscarriage picture to his wife?
I don't know. That part wasn't shown up in terms of when he was expecting. I don't know. I feel like we need King Kandoro. We need someone who understood
debunk.
fully and was there to come and fill in some blanks.
Okay,
Like I said,
okay.
straight up, I
But
have a lot of blanks. It didn't. Some things didn't match
yeah,
up.
okay. Because ultimately, also, I feel for the wife. Is she? If she's
Yeah,
married to him, because now your
that's a
husband
lot of
is
admin to deal with,
on
man.
Twitter the whole day fighting with an alleged side chick in public, saying, hey, you got me pregnant, couldn't afford a morning after. You're a fake lawyer, you're a
But
fake
he says the
pilot.
wife. He talked to his wife, and the wife gave him permission to go ahead and go on his rant and whatever. Of which I'm like, I don't know, bro. Like, because again, to normal people, none of this shit feels like it's worth it. I can never. I
To
even tried
normal
to imagine
people.
myself. No. I even tried to imagine myself
The
talking to my
normal
wife and
people.
be like, babe, listen, there's a hand that's wiling on Twitter. Can I go back and forth, jump on a space, and tell people
Defend myself.
and then, bro, this is the other part that killed me. So he again this man is a jack of all trades, right? So he's a lawyer. Right? So me and you, allegedly he's a lawyer. Like, so we tend to believe that he's a lawyer. There's someone else who jumped on his space, said no,
Yeah.
he was referred to us by a South African law firm, so they think that based on that evidence that he is a lawyer. So like, okay, fine, he's a lawyer. He also said that he's a pilot. Again, there was Shona in there, so I don't know if he's an upcoming pilot or if he is a pilot. But the ex-babe said no, he's lying. He gets these pictures from someone who sends them to him, and then he just publishes. And then so there was that. And then when he was talking about his membranous tissue, he said that he studied medical law and he knows. Again, I'll ask you: is there a field called medical law? Nangyas, personally, but this is where you can fill in the blanks, Mr. Moy. Is that a thing? Are they medical lawyers?
No, there is, dude. To be honest, there's law for everything, right? There's medical law, there's aviation law, there's construction law, in environmental law, IP law, property law, all kinds of law, right?
So it exists.
It exists, right? But
Okay.
in a it's not like you can build a practice off of it, right? There's medical law. You study the laws that regulate doctors and medical practitioners and blah blah blah.
No, because the thing is, I in my mind, right, I'm pretty sure I heard him say he's a medical lawyer, right? And someone else kind of piggybacked on that point, and then he was like, no, I didn't say I'm a medical lawyer. I said I've studied medical law. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So again, he was just kind of moving around, and then people were like, "Are you a pilot?" Right? And he's like, "Yes, I am a pilot." Like again, but then also now people were questioning the authenticity of his license. But apparently, from the people that know, because this is the beautiful thing about Twitter, you post some shit, there's someone out there who knows, right? And they're gonna tweet their opinion and be like, "Ula mag," right? So someone else tweeted out, so he posted his ID, right? So someone like me, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That looks like the same shit them pilots wear. I've seen dozens of pilots in my life, right? So I'm like, oh, it's the same ID that they all wear. So Chuguti, what guy is a pilot? Someone tweets out and says, "Good to know." That's just a pass airport saying that you have access to certain areas. So it's not necessarily a piloting license. It's just like Senna goes to a concert and Senna's got backstage access. that's what man's posted, right? But again, to the rest of us who don't know these things, they're like, yeah, well, okay, take it at face value. It is what exactly. So there was like all these things that was happening, and I'm like, bro, like this is such a convoluted story. And I think this is again based on what I heard, read, and understood. My conclusion, I think this is just again, this is just based on what I've heard and seen. This is not the truth. In case people want to go and run away with this shit, I tend to I think the Han brought some genuine points that kind of sound like they're true, right? In the sense that I think that the persona that he puts out there is not necessarily his actual life situation. So I don't know what specifically is real and not real, but I think it matches someone who has that level of ego and most importantly, that amount of time to be on a space for 2-3 hours answering strangers' questions. I don't know, bro. I don't know too many rich niggas that have that type of time, right? And who give that level of fuck of what a stranger says. You know what I mean? So it didn't match the rich nigga mold. So I was like, okay, you don't match that in terms of what typically those people would do. You more match the I need attention, I'm about to release a book, type of mold, right? And I was just kind of like, okay. So I don't know what's true, what's not true, but I think they're both, they both put their version of Aromat out there. And now I guess it's up to, whoever reads it to pick and choose. But the wild one was the fact that she says, this one doesn't live in Borodale. He lives in like Buduriro. And I was like, yo, I've never heard of that place before. But like, I'm pretty sure
but no years from the name, dog.
It's a powerful name, that one. It's a powerful name. So in
you can hear what
I don't think it's one of them hoods where you're like angwazi uti you just think utama portals ngale are a little bit worse. It just sounds like that. It sounds like there's a lot of dust there, but it's like, hey, so she claimed uti uhlala lokho kwakhe khona ngale, and and then man came out, it's like, no, me, I just showed you my Coco's cabin or something along those lines. I never took her home. I never took her home. She just sees this, I told her, Wuti look like Oku. And I'm like, what isn't those ngazo? It's like, bro, those are not really things to puff out your chest on. That's what confused me even more. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what confused me even more. And then obviously in terms of the Han herself, the $3 tweet, right? Wuti, he couldn't afford a morning that was $3. That's what suicide bomb. No. But exactly, I was gonna say in slang terms, that's what we refer to as double homicide, where you're so intent on trying to blemish the person you're attacking that unintentionally you take yourself out too, right? And what I mean by that is that you've just told us you let a broke nigga hit raw. That's number one. And number two, you just told us you're broke too because you couldn't afford that $3. So it's one of those like, bruh, I might have kept that saved in drafts because now I look bad. You know what I mean? It's like
In
it was
slightly
a
in
bit
her
tricky.
defense, though, she may argue that at the time of said exchange of fluids and blah blah blah, she did not know that he was a broke guy. Which now, when it was now time for the $3 to come out and all these other things, then that's when, to her shock and horror, she realized that she'd given a broke boy the things.
Nah, but Nyoro, bruh. Newville.
Hey, but if she
Aye,
thought
aye, aye, aye.
if she thought he had coins, right? Maybe, I don't know. She was trying to
Oh,
gather
so you
young
think she was trying to make an investment in her future?
time. You never know, dog. You never know. You never know, dog. If
I
okay, put yourself in a hand's shoes, right? Put yourself in a hand's shoes, right? For a second, someone comes to you, like, listen, Maps. I'm a lawyer. I'm an advocate. No, I'm also a pilot. I also do, medicine law. And then I think he also hires, what you might call it? There's a car hire business in the family.
Oh yes,
You
there's
know,
that car hire shit.
it's a
Yeah,
lot,
there's a
dog.
lot.
Wouldn't you think? I hear, yeah, here my future is proper.
Nah, I guess, but like again, guys, y'all be giving out Nyoro for free, man. Like, hi. Like, I think the country needs to have a mass workshop on the value of Nyoro. I think like y'all just be letting anybody hit raw, niggas included, right? It's like there's some hands where you're like, nah, bro, she didn't deserve. You should have been wrapped up. Should have been strapped up, dog, because that she didn't deserve that, and vice versa. I think just that the price of yak is too damn low. That's I think that's the conclusion from all of this. Imagine, bro. $3. Ay. Nah, that's scary shit, bro. That's some scary shit. Like, at least if it's like, I don't even know. Okay, let's say, what's a respectable amount to argue over? Which, hey, this nigga didn't have X amount. How much? What's your amount where you'd argue over that type of money?
To have readily available for like an emergency like that.
Yes.
Hey, guys, angazi, all our economic situations
No,
aren't the
engage
same.
your inner cheese boy. It's fine. People know the brand. Don't try and lower the locuzin. This ain't no trickle down economics over here, fam. Just you know the number. Don't try and be like,
I think,
we have people who kulum.
okay, you know what? If Umeli Pume Katesi right now, you should be able to keep her at $20 to say, right, guys, this is what it is. Gashuba.
Cheap as fuck. $20.
Last minute emergency. Like, I don't have to ask anyone for anything. I don't have to go and move things around. Like, right, Katesi Nankoba.
Nah. Your price of hit and raw, Senna, is quite low. I'm also equally disgusted by you as well. I think no, that's a
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean price of hitting raw? I'm just thinking in any emergency, right? How much money are you just
could pay that,
expected to just have?
but no, but let's keep it to this context of you hit raw, and let's say for whatever reason there's an emergency, right? Because obviously we know the cost of, well, I don't know the cost of money, but like it basically,
Yeah.
See, I've lost my train of thought.
I don't think they can be a cap.
We've made up an emergency. No. We've made up an emergency, right? And how much would you say? It's any image, can be anything, right? Let's say the cost of the morning after is, you can price it at any amount in the world, right? It doesn't need to be what actually you'd pay in your country, but any amount in the world. How much would you price it at for? I hope you understand what I'm getting at. Like, what's your emergency funds? What's your bare minimum you would expect if you, let's say, because again, this is the most frequent thing would be if you're a hun, right? You're a hun,
Yeah.
let the nigga hit raw. What would you bare minimum expect the nigga that you let hit raw have in case of emergency, in case something goes sideways? What's that amount?
And it can't be capped though. It has to be unlimited, right? If it's $20, you must have it. If it's
No,
$100,
but there's a
you must
minimum.
have it. If it's $200, you must have it.
Ego pay. So, but you would know. So if we go by your example, if you say $20, right? then there's a lot of niggas that, female version of Senna would let hit raw, because there's a lot of niggas rolling around with $20 in their pocket.
Okay, I'm not looking at it like that, because I'm not looking at it.
Okay.
I'm not looking at it as you're attaching the $20 to the value of a person. I'm thinking you're attaching the $20 to the value of the emergency. So and
It's to the person. I'm saying
Oh,
the way
no.
you should judge it is now to the person. This person should
No,
be able
then
to come up with X amount of money in a case of an emergency.
then I'll still say that whoever person you let hit raw must be able to watch anything, dog. Like anything.
No. I mean,
And I don't
again,
even look at
we
it.
don't have unlimited funds, right?
Yeah.
We all have caps, right? But that's what I'm saying. There is a bare minimum where you can say, okay,
That
realistically,
can,
I would expect
all right.
anyone that I let hit raw should have at least $500 available on demand.
I think for
I think you can say
simplicity,
that, right?
for simplicity, it should be someone who can pay for your labor costs at a private hospital if push comes to shove. Yes, I
Oh,
think
as in if you kept the kid.
yeah.
Oh, that's yeah. I think that's a good way to look at it, actually, because not everyone is pro.
Yeah, not everyone's pro
termination
and any of that stuff, right? So okay, cool. In the event that I decide to go through with this, if
I think that's a very good metric.
I'm at Matter Day,
That's a very good metric.
do I think this guy can feature at Matter Day and be like, right, here's for the labor expenses and costs?
Yeah, I think that's a really good metric as a bare minimum standard. And I think if people were to actually look at that and now compare to the niggas that you letting hit raw, y'all are playing some dangerous games out there, bro. Like there's a lot of deadbeat earns out there, but it's like Abanye is like, bro, allow you so like you knew what was coming with this guy, bro. Like it's like, come on. Right. So I think that is a fair barometer to measure someone with. And if the answer is no, right? Number one, you don't have to screw him. That's big picture. No one is forcing you to screw that person. And number two, put on some damn protection. Like if these things happen, it's like, letting someone hit raw and you barely know what their situation is, and then you kind of clown them for it afterwards. I feel like now you look like the clown. That's where you kind of misfire at the end of the day. Right. And but anyway, all of this conclusion is we have the government that we deserve, guys, because ain't no way the country can be assembled like that to listen to that BS. Like I refuse. I don't even know if Hopo's locals in spaces where had that many people.
No, in fact, he must, because he's always shaming the youth for having a nice time when the country is, when the country's in the states that when the country's in the state that it's in. I would argue that if he found out what you guys were in a space talking about, and we just did it for half an hour on a podcast, so we're also culpable.
Well, this is me and you catching up. And you said you wanted to know what happened.
Yeah, Shem. To be honest, I did want to know what was discussed in the thing, because I think when you're finding out via like
Nat understood the Ndaba properly.
Really, she followed it from like the get go.
Yeah, no, she was the one who wasn't the one who brought it to the
yeah. She did bring it to our attention.
Yeah, no, and Nat is definitely on top of these things. She knows. She follows the right people. She knows this. Like some things that she'll post, and I'm just like,
who are you talking about?
Like, literally. Yeah. No, so she knows these things. I think we need to have her on, and she's gonna be. On Breakfast Club, they have like the rumor report, and Angela handles that. I think we need to have the rumor report with Nat. Okay. I think that would be a segment that would kill, because clearly she knows things. She has the context. But anyway, Mr. Moy, we have to move on because we're running out of time very, very quickly. We have some Siazamas. But there's one quick topic. I don't know if this will be quick, but I wanted to piss off some of the ladies on the pod just for fun, right? So the Super Bowl was 2 weeks ago, right? Mm-hmm. I think you see where I'm going with this. And obviously, it's not about the game, but yes, the Kansas City Chiefs won, right? That's the irrelevant part. The most relevant part about the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl halftime show. So everybody who doesn't, my own wife was like, "Hey, let's watch the Super Bowl." I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, I want to watch Rihanna." I was like, "Oh, okay." I think so. So again, Rihanna and the other performers are the reason why people's wives are now interested in the Super Bowl, and maybe the Premier League should take note. But anyway, so Rihanna's doing the Super Bowl halftime show, and I watched it. It was fantastic. It was amazing. So initially when I started watching, my wife wasn't watching it. So I'm like, babe, is Rihanna pregnant? Because like I'm looking at her belly, and it wasn't like full on yet, but it was kind of like there. It was like, no, she doesn't. Like it's one of those, either Rihanna just started drinking a whole lot of beers in the last year, or she's a couple months pregnant. Right? It was one or the other. So in my mind, I'm like, is she pregnant? My wife goes, no, she's not pregnant. I'm like, oh, wow. So I was just like, damn, girl, like that's, do some crunches. Nah, I'm kidding. But like, I was like, nah, this is definitely like, there's no way this is a cover. It doesn't make sense with her body structure. But like, that was bugging me the whole time I was watching it. And then later on, she goes, oh yeah, she is pregnant. I'm like, bruh, like I've literally been, doing gymnastics over this for the last 5-10 minutes.
Wait,
You
so
could have just looked.
she didn't see like from the very first shot of the performance?
No, she wasn't watching. She wasn't watching. I was watching.
Okay,
So
because from the
I'm
very
watching, and then I turned to her and I asked him like, "Hey, bro, is she pregnant?" But she didn't know because I guess it wasn't a public thing that Rihanna had put out as well.
no, it became
At least
public
up until
during the
after
performance.
the show or during the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, show in my humble opinion was fantastic. Right. I loved it. I loved every
Yes.
minute of it. And it just got me to a certain place where I was thinking again, right? We had solved the pregnancy mystery. Now we had to move on to mystery number 2. And mystery number 2 is I started thinking about, her number one competitor, right? The Michael Jordan versus LeBron debate that seems to dominate sports conversations. The CR7 versus Messi, right? So I was like, because I'm listening to that set, right? It's probably like a 15-20 minute set.
Yeah.
And it was banger after banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. I was like, damn, this hun really has a catalog, And then I started thinking about that other auntie, other auntie from Houston. And, I think, again, just my opinion, right? Before people get a little bit riled up. But I feel like
Nat's got her comrades waiting. They're buzzing.
I know if not to try something. Who pissed off Nicki Minaj's Locuzin people? Was it you or not?
Oh, that was me.
Oh, that was you. Oh, I was gonna say I can get the bobs in her direction.
No, but I think Nat also pissed them off. Oh, we both did.
Did she?
Yeah, I pissed.
Okay,
I pissed off the Beyonce stands once, and then the Nicki stands once. Yeah,
I know. I put it out there on Twitter. And then someone responded, and she added all these Beyonce stans, and I was like, there's no way. Samuel's father is not getting cooked on Twitter, bro. There's absolutely no fucking way.
It's such a mob mentality. It's the funniest thing.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, bro. But anyway, again, in all seriousness, guys, I think if I had to pick my GOAT, I think the GOAT is Rihanna. Obviously, Beyonce has a much more extensive catalog, right? And credit to her. And I think it really does resemble the LeBron James Michael Jordan debate, because LeBron James has played a lot more than Michael Jordan, right? Yeah. And he has all the longevity records over Michael Jordan. But Michael Jordan has all the peak records, right? If we're measuring how high
points per season
got,
blah blah blah.
No, not even points, but efficiency, right? In terms of your best ever season, Michael Jordan, stats wise, has a better season. Like his best number one season is better than LeBron's number one season. But LeBron's body of work is better than Jordan's body of work, arguably, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a similar type of thing. And I think Rihanna has reached higher peaks musically than Beyonce, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think that the diversity of sound,
yes,
that she's been able to show. She's got an EDM banger, she's got an R&B banger, she's got a pop banger, hip hop banger. Like she's evenly spread across the board.
Yes.
Where you're like, listen, you've dominated literally almost every locuzin of sound, right?
Yeah.
Or every genre that we have that we care about. So that's where, and again, if you know me, you know that I'm a big CR7 fan, right? And in the CR7 Messi debate, I typically point to as my biggest gun versatility, right? Being able to go anywhere and still be successful and do your thing. So that's what I put over Messi when I support CR7. So it's the same type of mentality that I'm being consistent. So with Rihanna, I've seen you in too many different in many different forms, and your music is still great. I think maybe Beyonce maybe has put out too much music where I'm just like, hey, bro, some half of these tracks don't slap, you know? Because like early Beyonce, to me, I was a big stan, bro. Like I was there, I was within, some of her songs, like nah. Listen, I don't even have to be a fan, but I listen and I'm like, I understand why Lishanya, right?
Yeah.
But lately, I think the last 2-3 albums, every album always has one or two, right? One or two really, really, like, this is the platinum track. But the rest
Yeah.
of it, I don't know.
Look, I think I I I don't. I obviously I prefer listening to Rihanna's music. I'll just put it out there, right? Just because of I think I relate to it better. Maybe she's got a bigger crossover appeal as far as genre is concerned. As for no, not genre, but maybe genre and gender. So I think a lot of guys can bop to some Rihanna tunes. I don't feel the same way with a lot of Beyonce's music. Just only in the sense that I think a lot of them, I'm not gonna start listening to Single Ladies and a couple other jams. I just
Nah,
don't.
Single Ladies is a banger. I would play Single Ladies. It's a banger. Like that album. I think that's the
Nah.
Sasha Fierce album.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one is heat,
I feel
bro.
like there were better
Is
songs on
heat.
that album. Like that's the one where I think every time it plays, like yeah, Rasa, like man, like every time it's just like yo. And I realized it's probably because I can't relate, right? But there's people like a lot of women who were unmarried at the time took that song and just made it theirs. A lot of gay guys took that song and just made it theirs at weddings when they're
But I feel
throwing
like
the
I'm neither.
bouquet.
And I still fucked with the song, bro. Like
I couldn't relate
it
to it. I
was.
couldn't relate to it in that sense. I think Beyonce has a very big and loyal and adoring fan base where, they love her music, her and her music. Whereas I think Rihanna probably has a bit more poppy hits where more people can sort of get involved and jam and bop and then have like a good time. Whereas I think with Beyonce, sometimes, not all the time, but with certain songs, you kind of just have to be a
So
fan.
so 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 here's what I'm saying, right? So where I think Rihanna really jumped on the scene, I think people can agree, was the Girl Like Me. No, actually, Music of the Sun. I remember that one had Pon the Replay,
Upon the
right? And
replay,
that's when I first heard of Rihanna. I was like, hey, this song slaps, right? But then my thing is, so there's certain albums when I'm looking at Beyonce, like B Day. I stand B Day. I stand B Day. And then there's an album that's called Four. I don't remember any songs from that
yeah.
album. Dangerously in Love. I stand that album. I Am Sasha Fierce. Stand that album. Beyonce. I stand that album. Lemonade and Renaissance. I
No,
Renaissance has
can
just got
I
that TikTok
can I
song,
tell you though?
and that's it.
But Lemonade was a brilliant album. It's just not. I don't think
That's the
we.
one where she was talking about the cheating, right?
Yeah, I don't think we
You
were
see, that's where she
the
lost the
mark.
niggas. How are you gonna come for my goat Jay Z like that, bro?
But
That's you
that's what I'm
see
saying.
I will.
But my chat is it doesn't take away from her, right? Doesn't mean that she's any less of an artist than Rihanna. It just meant that in that particular period with Lemonade, right? She went a different direction, which I think a lot of guys couldn't. I can't listen to Lemonade. Like I know that Becky with the good hair. Okay, sharp, cool.
Yeah, it's
But
like
I'm never going to listen and be engaged and repeat the songs. Whereas with Auntie, dude, I can play work. and then I'd be, Drake's verse. I'd be within. You get
Is
what I
Item
mean?
is Rude Boy on Anti? Is that the album?
No, that was before. Rude Boy was before.
Really?
Yeah, that was like 2011 with album.
Ah,
Oh no,
really?
no, yeah, what's my name? I think.
Oh,
Shit.
talk that talk. So I'm seeing
I'm
here
not sure
because
which
I'm like,
album, but it
bro.
was Gudala.
So there's Music of the Sun, and then there's Good Girl Gone Bad, obviously with Umbrella, and then Good Girl Gone Bad Reloaded, Girl Like Me, Rated R, Talk That Talk, Loud. Loud is when the whole EDM, like, that's when we were really thumping the EDM those days, 2010. And then Anti, like, I think maybe just because she stopped, because it looks like the latest album here is the Anti
Yeah,
Item.
2016.
Again, you can't really compare on a longevity basis. But I'm just thinking, hey, some of these
With a
tunes,
lot of
you know,
amazing features
I
in
think it's
between, dog.
higher peaks.
So from Love the Way You Lie, Live Your Life, All of the Lights, and those were some great collabos that she had.
So I'm looking up Beyonce's top 10 songs. Let's see what pops up. Top 10 hits. We have Single Ladies. I'm okay. I'm there. Irreplaceable, Run the World, Dangerously, Crazy in Love. Oh yes, yes, yes. Telephone Angikumbule. Is Telephone the one with Lady
Lady
Gaga? That was
Gaga.
weird. I didn't like that one.
It wasn't too
Halo,
bad.
okay. Okay, I dig Halo. Break my you won't break my soul.
Okay, I know. I don't know what was going on there.
Misfired there. She misfired there. But I mean, hey, it's catchy though. I won't lie. There's been times when it's played, I'm like, okay, whatever. If I were a boy, okay,
Which
I'll
site
give
are
you
you
that one.
using?
Deja
Sorry, which
Vu
site are you using?
is. I'm just going off of Google. I just typed on Google and Google just gave me results.
Oh, okay.
So it's I'm and again this matches. EXO, I don't remember EXO. Hold Up is on Lemonade. I think I know that song, but I'm not sure. Ring the Alarm, I dig it. Get Me Bodied is not here. Get Me Bodied is like my top 3 Beyonce song of all time. That song just slaps. Check on It. Hey, back in the day, Beyonce, come on, guys. Back in the day, Beyonce was lit. Let me see what
I
else.
can I can I can feel Nat's blood boiling as she listens to you sing.
Oh yeah. So hey, Naughty Girl. Hey, listen. Like I said, back in the day, Beyonce. I know me. You won't hear anything from me. Drunk in Love. You see that Beyonce album? Come on, like it had bangers. Bootylicious. I think I remember. Yeah, no, Beautiful Liar. And actually, so she's had some hits. Like Beyonce, like I won't even try to besmirch her in any way. Like, listen. But like, yeah, no. If we go to the Rihanna side, Love the Way You Lie, Only Girl, Pon the Replay, What's My Name, Umbrella, Don't Stop the Music, Disturbia, Rude Boy, S&M. Like, guys, Run This Town, we don't give it to her, right? It's not hers. It's just featured.
But I
Shut
mean,
Up and Drive, I'll give that to her. Take a Bow. Where Have You Been? Where Have You Been is top 3, bro. Top 3. No. This is, no. Wild Thoughts. What's My Name? Te Amo. Hey, Needed Me. Work. No, guys. Let's singadlali
his
kubi, guys.
handle
Singadlali kubi.
his handle is at Sir Tubbs for those who want to fight.
Listen. I mean, guys. Again, let us know. Give us your top 5 or your top 10.
Do you know what was?
It's all about conversation.
Do you know what became
and,
funny about that whole debate? It because people always take it too far, right? And then it stopped being about the music, and then it's like, yeah, but Beyonce also once performed pregnant. Then you got all these guys.
yeah, I'm like, what the fuck,
dude?
So why are we comparing pregnant women? It's like she danced on it. She was, 10 meters in the air, and I'm like, okay, y'all are
wilding.
But I'm looking on this site on USA Today. It's saying Beyonce is number 1 song. I'm guessing they're ranking it by probably streams, or I don't know.
It's gotta be Single Ladies.
But they're saying, yeah, it's Single Ladies. It's Single Ladies.
Yeah.
And they're saying Rihanna's number one song is "Pon the Replay." I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, no, that was big. That was
I'm
big.
not mad at
Also,
it.
the Diwali rhythm is just always a hit, you know. So for those who don't know the Diwali rhythm, just go and listen to the Diwali rhythm. Like that
Uh
thing, hit after
oh.
hit.
That's the one, right?
Yeah, with Get
That's
Busy
the Diwali rhythm.
and yeah, Get Busy and Love is Wicked and all these other tunes.
Beyonce has a song called Black Parade, and yes, I've never heard it before.
Oh,
Nah,
now
I
you've got
don't agree with
homework.
these people. I think these are not Beyonce's best songs, but yeah, no, listen, this is top 10 Rihanna. Only Girl at 10, Umbrella 9, 8,
Yeah.
Love the Way You Lie, 7, Rude Boy, 6, Don't Stop the Music, 5, Shut Up and Drive, 4, Run This. I don't know how Run This Town makes it onto this list, but anyway. 3, What's My Name, 2, Te Amo, number 1, on the Replay. Like, I think that's, hey, bro, that's a catalog and a half, guys. That's a catalog and a half.
It is a
That's a top
catalog and a
10, right?
half.
Top 10. But I'm very curious to see what the responses will be. I'm very excited to see what people are going to say. Because again, people get, hey, you guys are talking about sports and right now we've given you our MJ
Yeah.
versus Jordan debate,
Can
our
can
Messi Ronaldo. Let's see.
can the record
There's
show though?
65% of you. Let's see. Silizamide nam.
But can the record show though that I'm of the view that Rihanna is just in terms of hits, just I think on another level. I'm not saying Beyonce is not the greatest of all
Yeah.
time, but I just think for me, I'd sooner pull out a Rihanna catalog and jam to that than
Yeah,
anything but
I agree with you.
maybe.
I agree with you. I think you have to be really well. I was gonna say it's really wild. Like it's the thing with this music compromises you, right? Because I really like Rude Boy, and with me and music, right? If there's lyrics, I want to
Mm.
sing, but then it's like, ish, I can't sing these lyrics. Yeah, well, like it just doesn't work, you know.
But
It
that's what
doesn't
I've been
work.
saying,
So
right?
like I
It's like single ladies.
it's
Like
difficult.
when single ladies plays Ngatini, am I gonna? I'm also gonna start.
No, you know what? I'd sooner sing Single Ladies. Maybe I've forgotten the lyrics, but I'd sooner sing Single Ladies than Rude Boy
Nah, nigga,
any
I'd
other day.
sooner
And
sing
then
Rude Boy than single
even,
ladies.
oh hell no!
Nah, dog.
Like again, let me listen
I
to
think Rude
let
Boy
me
has a
let
bit
me
of
listen to
an.
Single Ladies.
I think for some of the lyrics, right, with Rude Boy, you know, I'ma let you be. You know, I'ma let you be the
I
captain.
send
You know, I'ma do this. I'ma do that. Ah,
who send.
are you gonna say?
Come here, Rude Boy. Can you get it up? Come here, Rude Boy. Is you big enough? Take it, baby. Take it, baby. Love me,
I can skip the
bro.
chorus.
Come on,
I can skip the chorus. Like
bro.
I can skip the chorus. I can legit skip the
So
chorus.
so hold on. Let's continue. Tonight I'm gonna let you be the captain. You're saying that's fine,
Yeah,
right?
no, that's fine.
Tonight I'm gonna let you do your thing. I'm gonna let you be a rider, Gideon. Okay, yeah, everyone wants the hunt to be a rider. Okay, fine. So that verse is fine.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, tonight I'm gonna let it be the fire. No, I don't want to sing that. I
yeah.
don't do that. I want to
I think I can sing that.
Okay,
Now, are
okay,
you gonna
okay.
sing? Now, put your hands up in the club. We just broke up. I'm doing my own little thing. First of all, what little thing are you doing? Decided to trip, and now you want to trip because another brother noticed me. You're gonna sing those lyrics up.
Ah man,
Now,
this is compromising.
listen to this bridge. This is brilliant. I'm
Okay,
up on him,
okay.
he up on me. Don't pay him any
Aya,
attention. Just cry
my
tears for
babu.
3 good years. You can't be mad at me because if you like it, blah blah blah. I should have put a ring on it. I think I'd sooner sing Rude Boy.
Yeah, you know what? You know what? I think you've convinced me.
But do you know my
Yeah, I
favorite?
know.
So I never told you my
Ish.
favorite. My favorite Rihanna song, obviously, I think is "Live Your Life." I think she killed it on that hook. Obviously, she
Oh
was
yeah.
featuring.
Wait, but who's?
It's T.I. song.
Oh
It's
yeah, because I
T.I.
was gonna
song.
say whose song was this? Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
T.I.
Okay,
song.
okay, cool.
Unfortunately, so my favorite one by her when she's by herself is probably "We Found Love" with Calvin Harris. Is it? I think that was brilliant. I think she totally killed it. But I think Live Your Life is probably the best hook she's ever been on. All of the Lights deserves a shout out, but I think Live Your Life was just on that other level. As far as Beyonce is concerned, Drunk in Love was some. I think she put a lot into that, and
Yeah,
whenever I listen to Drunk in
yeah.
Love, I'm like, okay, this woman walked into
She
this.
went church auntie
She
on
walked
that
into
island,
this.
bro. When they go like,
She walked into the.
like
I don't know
it's too much. It's
what.
like, yeah.
I don't know what Jay Z had done to her. He'd maybe done the things, and then she's like, "I need to go sing about this shit." And then she
Yeah, yeah, no,
really,
man laid it down.
then she went and she sang her heart out. So I think "Drunk in Love" for me, "Best Thing I Never Had" is also a nice song. You know, like if you go a veal and you just need like a song. It's got a nice little "Best Thing I Never Had" is nice. But I never like Single Ladies. I always whenever it just plays in the club, because they played a lot in the club. Obviously to be inclusive, all the hands love it. The gay guys love it, and like you always like if you
Yeah, no, that one was co-opted. That one was
dude,
co-opted.
like if it
Yeah,
plays and
yeah,
you're in the club, just see you see
yeah. No, that
all
one
the
is
they love it. It's always the most
nah.
fascinating thing. Like
It's anthem, that one.
they own that song, and the girls obviously went. But for me, I've just never it's never hit me.
Okay. No, no. I think.
Oh, shout out to Sweet Dreams as well. Sweet Dreams or a Beautiful Night.
Oh yeah,
That was a
beautiful
nice.
night. Yeah, hey, listen. This again. This is not any Beyonce hate, guys. This is like, listen. We can go all day talking about Beyonce.
Like I
I
said,
think Diva, bruh, Diva is the thing is, I think, but I'm more of a beat type of guy, and like some of the beats that look who's in the production. So I don't even know if I'm giving that credit to Beyonce or not, but some of the production on Beyonce's music, oh guys, it's top 10, bro.
brilliant.
It's top 3. Like some tunes, the which one did you do with Sean Paul? Baby Boy, right?
Baby Boy.
Production on that,
That was
amazing.
lit. Yeah, that was lit.
And then there's another item I keep forgetting, but Diva, the bass on that is insane. Single Ladies, meh, it's the production wasn't that meh, but the whole song as a whole, amazing. But there's certain tunes where, again, Get Me Bodied, like, bro, you listen to Get Me Bodied with a proper sound system, yeah,
It will be lit.
guys,
I'll do
dangerous.
that. I'll do that in my car. See where I
Dangerous.
go on.
It's a dangerous thing, that one. But let's do
But
so next week. I like these musical debates, and next week let's
I was
do.
actually about to propose that
What is it?
we chuck some against.
Who do you want to throw in there?
No. I don't know. Maybe we can
I want to talk about JT, bro. Who can we pair against JT?
JT. So I'm gonna go white guy or black guy. Maybe let's leave it to the
You
listeners,
want to
right?
do JT? JT. Let's do JT versus Usher. I think that's interesting.
I was gonna say Usher Chris Brown, but we can do JT Usher.
Ooh. Okay. I mean, Usher Chris Brown is interesting too. Usher Chris Brown is interesting.
That would be a good versus, and then we can.
But I feel like me and you will be on the same page. I feel like we're both gonna go with Usher, right?
Likely, yes.
I said like, okay.
Nah,
So it's
because
an
I
interesting
just thought
conversation.
about
I
it.
think let's do.
Or maybe
Okay, so for next
people
week,
can
we'll
pitch
do-
us
we'll
other
do-
ideas of people artists that we can do a versus, and then like maybe during the week, when I'm driving to and from work and whatever, I can catch myself up on their
Okay.
music, and then yeah.
Okay. No, but I think I don't know who or guys, let us know who would be appropriate to compare Justin Timberlake with, because again, he was on his shit.
At some
Again,
point.
might not have been that long a career, but the heights that he reached,
Yeah.
woo! I'm
As I
telling you,
said.
bro.
Although
That song, what
Although I
goes
know-
around comes around. Yeah. Ngang Kalilum Faz,
in
man.
Crimea
Hey, you know
River,
what?
Crimea River.
Yeah. Come on.
Although I know Ropa
But yeah.
always says we shouldn't compare like pitch black artists against each other, but let's just do it.
He said, let's do it.
Let's just do it.
Let's just do it. I mean, again, it's all done it's done in good spirit. It's not meant to, again, like even this whole Beyonce versus Rihanna thing, it's mostly in jest. It's mostly because, again, we're sports fans, and with sports, it's all about who's better than the other, right? And but at the same time, you take a moment to enjoy both individuals, but it shouldn't be wrong to be like, oh yeah, who do you enjoy better? Like, you're allowed to have preferences, but they're both great. They're both amazing. Again, like I said, nothing bad to say about either. It just speaks to their greatness at the end of the day that you're even having such a conversation. So for me, it doesn't matter if it's black on black, white on white, black white. I'm like, let's talk about your medium. What did you do? Were you great? If so, let's talk about it. But yeah, guys, let us know. This is, the podcast is coming in late today, but this is why. That's a lot of Lindo, Kolisa Civili, Sautengli Sweetie. But yeah.
Okay, cool. No, thank you, Mr.
Right. It's been a good one. We went through a whole lot of shit. This is. I think this is probably one of my top. I think this would be one of my top 5 favorite episodes. It definitely, it feels like it. But anyway, Mr. Moyo, it's been a good one, and listeners, you know the drill. Like the thing, retweet the thing, subscribe to the thing, and if you don't, we're inclined to believe you're a hater. Mr. Moyo,
laters.